What, a quote from The Last of Us? Of course it is.
Hello.
Hello. Apparently so. It's something I'm not going to be able to escape, I think.
Sound
Also,
nice.
you do tend to deal with a lot of shit you don't want to be a part of, and I'm always the voice of reason in your ear. Like, you know, don't seek vengeance; it's not worth it.
Wait, can you hear me now? Hi, Peter. Hi. It's nice to see you, dude. Also, can you hear me now? You couldn't hear me before. So I was going to say that yes, he is Cuff from Forspoken and I am apparently Frey. That's basically what I was saying before y'all could hear me. Hi, the stream is going off to a very smooth start. So today in this stream we are going to be talking about Callisto Protocol. This was actually requested by Max because like it was even before I put out the review for the game. He was like, "Please, can we do a stream for Callisto Protocol?" Because apparently he has questions for me and I may have answers. I'm scared. You guys, help me. I need a blanket.
Oh,
Um,
I think you will have. I think you will have answers. I know you well enough to know that you'll have answers and good ones. Also, quickly to say hi, Peter. Good to see you around and everything. Like, Hope things still going well. If you're still working at the packing job, we won't say exactly where, just for reasons of respect and everything. But I hope it's going well. To give an update on that front, I no longer have a job. By the way,
Oh, really?
yep, I got fired. Hey,
What for what exactly? What for doing a good
I
job?
I no no
Let's
I
just put it this way, it's Amazon. That's all you really need to know.
Is
Okay, so she just blurted it out. I was gonna keep it hidden in case anything too sensitive was spoken, but
oh
no, she's just like, oh, it's Amazon he worked for. Yeah, yeah. No, I was gonna say I worked for a guy called Beth
a
Jesus.
gu-
Let's just put it that way, but no, no.
a guy cup. Listen, guys, this is
I swear.
about this is gonna take a turn real quick from psychology into tea.
Look, I'll give the basic rundown. I'm not gonna lie, okay? When it comes to doing the part of the job that I did for Amazon, which was which was delivering things in the vans, it was a great job, really great pay. I loved the income because I was able to do so many things that I wanted to do, including get stuff for Chloe. Like for her birthday last year, I bought her
Yay!
the upgraded collector's edition statue from Horizon Forbidden West. That was
Oh, I
awesome.
remember that.
It is
And
awesome.
yeah, and we also managed to upgrade Chloe's PC. She's got a new PC, even better than mine. She's got a
Yeah.
3080 graphics card in it.
Wait a second,
Oh
Max.
yeah.
You're probably having like a little bit of an inner monologue every time you go past your PC, like, gosh darn it, man.
I keep I keep thinking it looks very similar to mine, so maybe I could swap it without her realizing, but I'm
Yeah,
like, nah, the
she's
bits are
too smart for that.
it's just
No,
too
she will
attention.
outsmart you when it comes to that stuff. Noticing
Yeah,
placements.
no.
This is the first proper gaming PC I've ever had. Leave it alone, Max. My last one was running on a GTX 970.
No. I'm sorry, but your last one was impressive because that SSD which overclocked it, that was something magical. I've never seen a graphics card that weak perform that well. You were playing Red Dead Redemption and Cyberpunk on it.
Wait
That
a
was just
second.
Sure.
really something magical.
That sounds so legit, but it also sounds so backhanded. It's like I've never seen a graphics card that weak work so well.
No, it's true. Her graphics card was an old one, but the guy she bought it from attached an SSD directly onto the graphics card so it could overclock it, which basically means I'm sure you're probably aware when you overclock a component,
Yeah,
you get more power at the cost of the component's lifespan. So,
that's true.
like she was getting really good graphics levels. Like I think you were able to play Red Dead 2 on high settings, just one level down from maximum, weren't you, Chloe?
Oh, that's good.
I believe so, yeah.
That's
Yeah,
really good.
so that graphics card was something magical, but it was starting to struggle with Cyberpunk. So I was just like, let's just get you a new PC. Let's just do it. So we got her one, and she's got one better than me. One with a
Beautiful.
3080. Congratulations! I'm
So
so happy for you.
I do. Thanks, Cuff. Sorry. Sorry. This is going to be every time I talk with you guys. Don't you realize this, right?
My name's gonna change in the Discord at some point. I know, like somebody's gonna dub me Cuff.
Max, Max, aka the Cuffmeister.
I have you know, if it's gonna be anything, it has to be Van Brace.
Cuffy.
Coffee.
But no,
You.
yeah, basically, long story short with the job, I couldn't keep up to speed with what they wanted, which was insane. Like over the Christmas period, they wanted me to deliver up to like about 220 individual places a day. They
Ooh.
wanted me they wanted me doing something like 12 to 15 stops in an hour, and I was like, yeah, I ain't gonna
Oh,
do that.
jeez.
And in the end I got fired, and the phone call I got when I got fired was
Yeah.
a bit of a shock, but Chloe will confirm within 15 minutes I was smiling because I was actually happy about it, because honestly all the horror stories you hear about the delivery drivers are true. Like
Jeez.
they literally pissed in bottles because they couldn't afford to take a toilet break.
What the Man. Wait, you need to fire your assistant. There's a spelling mistake in your stream tile. Oh, I fixed it. Refresh it and you'll see that it's fixed. Sorry about that. Thank you, Peter. So I do have to let you guys know, as much as I love hearing these stories, and we're going to probably hear more of them later on, I do want to get into the Callisto Protocol because we have some things to discuss. I don't know what they are yet because Max did not bother to tell me yet. Gosh darn you, cuff. Uh, but we want to be able to get into some of the psychology of this, and we're going to talk about the story. As you guys know, I already have the review up, which you guys seem to enjoy it, and I'm really, really happy about that. So thank you all for the love on that. And just a little bit of house cleaning. I already have the first 2 episodes of Returnal recorded. That comes out Friday and Saturday. And let me tell you guys, this game is going to test my patience. It is going to
Yeah.
test how I do things because I have never I played rogue games before like Hades, and it's really fun. I loved Hades. I finished that game like 3 times, but whenever it comes to Returnal, it's doing things a little bit differently in the aspect of where if you die in like the first biome, even though you're already at the like the boss and everything, it sends you all the way back to the beginning of the biome.
Yeah, I played Returnal for a little bit because it was given away for free
Oh,
on PlayStation's premium service, which I do subscribe to. And I personally, just to quickly throw in, I think it's more than worth the money for what you get for it.
yeah.
Like too many people say, "Oh, it's trying to be Xbox,"
No, it's
Games
not.
Pass and everything. Like, no, it's not. It's trying to be its own thing, which it really is, and I think it's doing it very, very well.
Yeah.
But yeah, they gave it away for free. I tried it. Chloe will confirm. I played it for like 3 days and deleted it, and I haven't gone back to
Oh,
it.
really?
Yeah.
See, the thing with Returnal is like it has horror elements sprinkled within it, and it's really cool. And you guys are gonna see in the playthrough that I kind of like struggled in the beginning. But whenever you go through it and you get the gist of it, it's kind of like it's not Dark Souls, but it has to like it's asking a lot of the player. And once you understand what it's asking of you, then you're gonna find a little bit of an easier time with it.
Yes, yes. It's like Returnal is 100% super hardcore roguelike
Yeah,
to the point for where like it's other roguelike games will give you a little bit of wheeler. Like when you die, you get to keep some things that can
yeah.
assist you as you progress. Returnal literally just resets you to baby steps number one every time with maybe a little bit of assistance as you go.
That's actually not
And the
true.
game,
I have to interject that it's not true because all of the upgrades that you get that are part of the story, you get to keep. Like, I don't know if you got to the part where you got the cyber sword.
I did, yes, yes, I
Okay,
did.
so you get to
And I
keep
was
stuff like that.
that's that's what I meant. Like you get a little bit of a helping hand, but majorly it's all reset. Like your guns, your like upgrades, parasitic stuff, like all
That's
the
true.
things that assist you, lay go. But the main things that will help you, such as with traversal, those kind of upgrades, they stay. But other than that, the game is very cruel, and I was just I played it, and after the third day, I was like, I'm literally not gonna live long enough to finish this game, so I just deleted it.
So to just to go into that of what people can expect from me with this because I during the playthrough I shit you not like part of me was like I probably should just play this on my own because I'm number one dying too much in the playthrough for people to be like I have an attention span with this, but number two there's so many things that are going on here simultaneously that I want to take notes at the same time but I can't, so I don't know necessarily if this is going to be a full playthrough. Not gonna lie. Like I'm already doing a playthrough for Dead Space, so I don't know if this is going to be one that I'm going to post. I might just make it a Patreon exclusive for the first 2 episodes and then that'll be it. But I'm not sure.
I I personally say stick at it. I really do
Really.
because it sounds like you're doing well. It sounds like you're doing better than I am
I'm already up to the first
or
boss.
did. Yeah, I got to the first boss. That's what made me rage quit. And let me put it in context for you. Like this game made me rage quit, and I literally just finished doing 100% of The Last of Us Part 2, including grounded mode and permadeath mode.
I was
So
screaming coming from the other room for about 3 days.
it really was. Like I came out of the bedroom and my beard was longer and my hair was like ruffled. I was just like, fuck that, I'm never doing it again.
Wait, Peter said that's not a problem for you though, because you're too good of a gamer to die. I mean, thanks, Peter. I appreciate you, bro. Thanks, Peter. I literally just said
Oh,
bruv. I just said bruv. Like, why did I'm not from the UK. I'm hanging too
I,
much around you guys.
I was gonna say, like, bruv is a very, very teeny bopper level of language.
Why did I just say bruv? What? I okay. Yeah, no, that just happened. All right.
bloody English.
Like,
Oh no.
blame us for everything because it is usually our fault.
I mean, they do the same with us, so it's okay.
Meh, true, yeah.
But the thing is that Returnal is fun. I am having a lot of fun with it so far. It's interesting because there are horror elements that I said like are sprinkled around it, and there's a section of where I made it up to a house, and you can actually get a key for the house. Like you don't have to stay locked out of it. And I'm trying to find the key, and I really want to get into that house.
I've have you been in the house at all yet?
No, because I can't find the key.
Okay. Okay, I found the key for the house about 2 or 3 times. No spoilers, promise you that. And
Okay.
you know I'm good with my word.
Yes.
But going into the house, from what I could work out, was a really integral part to the story because it's it was always really interesting because it's like it's to do with memory, so to speak, as I'm sure you can tell, because it's obviously her old home on the planet, which is weird fucking enough as it is.
Mhm.
So yeah, but what you see in there is confusing, but it was obvious it's one of those games where the more you learn, the more pieces of the puzzle you get, and then it eventually makes a big picture that's very clear.
Yeah.
So yeah, like
It
if you
sounds like fun. Like
sorry, on you go.
no, no, I was just gonna say like it sounds like there's a lot of psychology to it, which I love.
There really is. There really, really is, and it's why it breaks my heart that Returnal at the moment is currently being boycotted and bombed on PC because it's
Why?
like it's I don't know. I saw one person saying it's too supportive of a white main character and
Oh no,
abuse
that was a
towards
joke.
women.
That was a joke. That
Was
was
it a
not.
joke?
It was not
Thank God.
serious because Peter
Thank
brought
God,
that up
because
to me as well.
I'm so thankful it was a joke because I remember reading it. I'm like, this has to be satire.
It
Please let
was
this be
yeah,
satire.
it was a
But
joke
then I
to get
remember
the views up and the people to get enough people to buy it. That way the ratings on
I
PC would
was
go up.
I was gonna say like it had to be a joke, but then I remembered like it's Twitter for where anything
Yeah.
ridiculous is probably true.
No, no, no. It is.
So
It's a
yeah,
joke. It was one of the
thank
person who
God.
started it is a friend of mine, and no, she was joking.
Sure, thank God. I was so
Max takes a
worried.
lot of things very seriously.
Have you
Yeah.
seen the psychos on Twitter, which I tend to
Eh.
attract?
You don't attract them. You get attracted to them, and you start arguing with them.
This is not true.
It is
It
true.
is true, Max.
Okay, this is totally unfair. I'm being ganged up on. This is bullying.
Oh wait, Broken Lobo Gaming. How are you? Returnal is excruciatingly masochistic and exhilaratingly satisfying experience once you quote get it. A perfectionist's endeavor, and the story is the best part. The story is very good so far. I'm really enjoying it. I keep getting now to the third phase of the boss, and I've only worked on it for like one day, so it's not that difficult. It's just more patience endeavor more than anything. So I mean, like listen, if I can go through in less than a year and play 95% of the Souls games, including Sekiro and Bloodborne, I think I've got this. So I'm excited.
I will tell you one thing that Returnal reminds me very much of a game called Fury.
Yes.
It was
Ooh,
yeah,
wait. That's true. It also reminds me of Silent Hill a little bit, the way that they do the music.
which is why I'm really excited for you to get to a specific boss because
Eh.
I don't know if you want me to tell you this. It's not really a spoiler. It's just a really interesting design for the boss. You want to know about them?
Yes, I do, because there are six
You
biomes
do.
from what I'm hearing.
Okay, is I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that this boss is technically just an optional one. You can find them if you directly look for them, or if you just explore and potential upon them. But it's a musical boss that actually plays like an alien organ that sends attacks at you.
What? That's so cool. Wait, I already love how the bosses are being done because their projectiles and everything is just so beautiful. Like,
Hmm
it's just so
And
stunning.
I've seen gameplay clips of the musical organ boss, and that was actually the part which really drew me to the game. I was like, that is a super genius design move, and it works so well. I was really impressed by it.
Yeah, that is really really impressive. Oh my gosh, wait. Take your time. The game is cyclical and dying is necessary. Oh yes, indeed. That's what I'm finding out more and more. The story is deliciously nebulous. The DLC takes it to the next level. I didn't know there was a DLC. That's good to know. There's elements of Greek mythology. That's something I also figured out as well because there's so many different things like the name of the ship I believe is a Greek name as well. On top of that, like all of the Helios, I think that's also a Greek name, but I'm not too sure on that. But yeah, there's so many different things that are just
I
thrown at you.
I I believe Helios is a Greek name, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe that was the Greek god that was whose job it was to raise the sun in the morning.
Oh, interesting.
I'm pretty sure it was, yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, and Freak is also that's the name of the first boss. So that yeah, I know that is a Greek name, but I don't know what it stands for. I'll have to research that to put in the review. But this review is going to be in depth because I'm going to spend a lot of time discussing the psychology of the game. So if you guys are into that, that's great. But whenever it comes to Celine and whenever I saw her, well, you guys will see it in the walkthrough, but when I saw her character at first, it's so shocking how like when you go into the game, you're just thrown in there. You don't have a startup menu, you don't have all the typical game stuff, you just are thrown in there, and I love that. It's very different.
Yeah, you get the most basic tutorial, and the game's just and the game just basically goes, "It's down to you now. Good fucking luck."
Yeah, on top of that, I gotta do a playthrough of it for YouTube, which is going to add another layer of just gotta get this done in a manageable time frame because people are telling me that the third boss is the one I have to watch out for the most.
Yeah, I didn't even get to
So,
the second one, so I got nothing on the third one.
well, it's strange because it's like the first one in his last phase slaps you around a lot, so I have to like dodge his slap attacks, which it's like it's perfect for people in New York because they're just like, "What are you talking about?" Huh? Let's see.
Also, Peter is right. Returnal
It
has taken over the Callisto
has.
Protocol
It
stream
has.
right
So
now.
so we have to get into some Callisto Protocol. I appreciate you for keeping me on track there, Peter.
Yeah.
He is correct.
One last thing I do want to sorry, just one last thing I do want
Yeah.
to say about the Returnal is that I think it's hands down is one of the best graphics for a game I've seen for the
Mm.
new slash current gen.
Oh
It
yeah.
just looks so beautiful.
Yeah, it really is. And especially like her face modeling, it looks so good.
Exactly. It really does. It really does. But anyway,
Let's see.
moving on, Callisto Protocol time.
Broken Lova says he is correct. Yeah, because he said that Helios' son Selene is a moon, so it's their brother and sister, which that dives into a lot of the Greek mythology that we also saw in God of War Ragnarok as well. So I think that's pretty cool.
Ah, brilliant.
Yeah, but
Brilliant.
I am curious. We're gonna start off this kind of unconventionally. I want to know what your questions are because we can go off of talking points from the questions that you have.
Okay, so my questions I think would be better off if I just insert them as we talk
Yeah.
because they're not really ones you can dive straight into. So I
Okay.
was maybe if you got a starting point to take us off from.
So let's go off into the way that people didn't think that this game had a story. So many of my journalist friends reviewed the game and they said that this game has no story. It has no plot point. It has no this. It's just a rogue mission of where you are this random guy trying to find point A to point B to try to make it back to Earth. False. There's like 4 to 5 different stories going on here from people who were the lost mining colonies to different ones about the parasite that they were mining for in order to create a new form of life, basically, and that's what the last boss that we encounter in the game
Exactly.
goes from. So you have so many different story points here. You have also, excuse me, you have God, I forgot the name of the main character already. What was his name, Max? Jacob. There we go.
Jacob, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have Jacob's PTSD and survivor's guilt for leaving Max. sorry about that, leaving Max alone, leaving Max to die and everything. And Max is basically his subconscious telling him that, hey, you got to remember that you were a crucial part in why this whole this whole terrorist attack even happened on one of the moons. So there are so many different underlying stories, and people kind of get it twisted to an extent of where you only see what's right in front of you instead of digging deeper. And what the Callisto Protocol, really did well with its writing is that it didn't spoon feed you. It gave you the option to dig deeper into the story with the audio logs and with discussions that you have with Danny. So if you don't get the audio logs, you're not going to get the entire story, basically. So
Yes, no, exactly. It's I myself did not find every single one of the audio logs, but I found enough to obviously piece together that there was more going on in this quote unquote prison colony than
right,
first met the eye, which was, I mean, my personal rule number one: if you've got very well acted out voice audio logs to collect in the game like this, which there were, then there's definitely a good story happening, at the
right.
very least a good one. And that's why it's really funny that people say, oh, there's no story, because as soon as they say that, I instantly know that then you didn't go looking for secret areas and find audio logs, did you?
Not only
Because
that, it's like
that
people
is
consistently, compared it to Dead Space. I'm going through Dead Space for the first time in my entire life, the original one from 2008, for a review. It is nothing like Dead Space. The only thing that is similar in the way is the construction of the suits, in the way that they're doing like the suits and like how the biometrics are to
yeah.
an extent. But that's the
Yes,
only
yes,
thing.
exactly.
The story is completely
Yes,
different.
exactly. Yeah. No, exactly. I
Yeah.
do completely agree. It's a very, very different story, especially since I have you finished Dead Space?
I literally just started it last night.
Right, okay, so I can't talk too much about Dead Space then because I don't want to spoil the thing for you, but it is very, very different because it's like it's similar and different at the same time. But for me, the only real two parts that I saw that was similar to Dead Space was, as you said, the suit and for how it sort of like acts on the character and everything,
Yeah.
and also the combat, which, as far as I'm concerned, these two things are nothing more than just love letters to the Dead Space franchise, which obviously the guys who made the Callisto Protocol worked on Dead Space, so why
Yeah,
wouldn't they do
exactly.
that? It's just like a little nod saying that, you know,
Mhm.
it's still in us. The Dead Space gene
It's
is
still
still
it's
in
still
us.
remaining, remaining in our soul, because like if you
Yeah,
create a series that is that worldwide popular and has so many different facets to it, you're going to have a little bit of leakage in like other projects that you do from that kind of stuff. So like it's
exactly.
the same
Yes.
with Resident Evil. Whenever Shinji Mikami started directing The Evil Within, you saw remnants of Evil Within type concepts within The Evil Within.
Oh yeah,
So
hands down. Even I saw it in the Evil Within,
yeah,
and I haven't even finished the first game yet, and I'm not even a hardcore fan of Resident Evil, and I can see Resident Evil all over the Evil Within. It's
yeah,
just written in there, not directly, but it's there, just with like the how, even just that first tutorial section of the game where you've got to run from like that thing with the chainsaw. That gave me such Resident Evil 4 vibes,
oh yeah,
and
absolutely.
it was like, for me, the two things, like I said, with the Callisto Protocol is the suit and the combat, and I personally loved it, especially the whole part where you find the writing on the
Yeah.
writing on the wall which says shoot the limbs or something like that.
Yes! Oh my
I
gosh, I
was
saw that. I was like, wait
yeah,
a second. Wait, hold on. Let me just read some of these comments. It's derivative. The creator worked on the DS series. I just finished the remake yesterday. Oh, very nice. Okay, how did you like the remake? Hey, Loco, what's going on? Welcome to the stream, dude. I got Callisto on launch day. Spent 3 days finishing it. Loved it. Played the Dead Space remake and also finished in 3 days as well. But enjoyed Callisto way more. That's fair. It's nothing new under the sun.
interesting.
For me personally, I find Dead Space super overrated. They, to an extent, I can understand why, because it's something that's consistently talked about, especially with the remake and everything happening. Going to me playing it personally right now for the first time, I can see why people love it as much as they do, because there's so much nostalgia that they're clinging onto. And when we see an old game remade, 99.9% of the time people are going to love it because of the nostalgia. They're not going to think critically about it because, oh wait, this is remade, let's look at this from an objective angle. They're going to go at it completely for nostalgia purposes. So I think that's
No,
why,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah, it's why a lot of games are remade. If we didn't have nostalgia, we wouldn't have half the remakes that we do, to be honest. So, you
Yeah,
know,
that's exactly why I think PlayStation is going quite strong with the PlayStation Premium thing, because one of the things they're doing is that while they're not remaking a lot of classics, they're re-releasing them, but they're
yeah.
doing it with like trophy support and everything, which is giving people a whole new layer of reason why to love them. So PlayStation knows that nostalgia is a really powerful thing, and that's why it's working on both the front of the remakes and the re-releases.
Yeah, and not
So,
just that,
for
like
me,
you get trophy support as well with Capcom, because they released trophy support for the 2002 version for the remake for Resident Evil on Steam.
oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. That's brilliant to see. I'm not so sure because I don't do too many remakes on Steam or with Xbox because I've only got Games Pass on PC because I don't have
Right.
an Xbox console. But I can honestly say I love both Games Pass and PlayStation X and like PlayStation Premium and everything. They're both so good in what they offer, which is two different things, being their own things. Love them. See,
Uh,
like and the whole nostalgia part of it though, going back to that, like as you said, is a huge reason why I think the Callisto Protocol um is I think it is a very successful game, but I think at the same time it's damaged itself because there was such a hype train being ridden by so many fans
yes.
of the Dead Space games, as well as of the developers as well. Like even Chloe noticed it. Like this, like for that whole last month leading up to the game's release, like Twitter everywhere was just
Everyone was going
afloat
off the
with
hinges.
Callisto Protocol. Yeah, because
Oh
it's
yeah.
like even the trailers alone, people were going, "That can't be in-game graphics, can it?" And it was. And the game is absolutely stunning. Chloe,
Yeah.
like I said, Chloe watched my playthrough of it, and she was constantly commenting on just how good the graphics were. It was insane.
Eh,
And I'm still kind of gobsmacked by it myself right now because I did play it on like the quality mode instead of performance
yeah,
because
same.
I I only got a few frame rate drops throughout the experience, so I was really impressed by
Oh,
that.
interesting.
And yes, yeah, and for me, I never let myself get on board that hype train with the game though, because I wasn't ever really planning to get it until until I stopped for a break when I was working one day, and I was just like, oh, to hell with it. I grabbed it, and I played it from start to finish in about 3 to 4 days. Absolutely loved
Nice.
it. I really did. It was sort of like it's the whole game is a massive love letter to the Dead Space franchise, but I think too many people went into the Callisto Protocol expecting it to be Dead Space
That's
2.0,
yeah. And it's
which
not.
is
It's its own
never what
thing.
it was going to be. Exactly. It was never going to be a new Dead Space. It was just meant to be a whole new beginning to something else. And the fact that like this is where nostalgia did the damage. It did like so many people came to this thinking they were going to get that Dead Space rush all over again, and
It's
the
yeah.
very first Dead Space was so good. Like you can you can watch an entire YouTube series where the developers are talking about how one of the most difficult parts in the first Dead Space game took them ages to make, and they weren't even sure if it was going to be a good addition. And again, I won't say what it is because you've only
Yeah. No.
just tried it, so I won't spoil
No.
it. But it's once you have finished it, I'll happily send you a link to the videos because they're so interesting to watch. And here's also a fun fact about the original Dead Space as well that they actually finished the game early, so they got it out a week earlier than its initial release date.
Shit.
Right? It's the only game I've ever known of doing that. Every other game has either come out on time or been delayed. I've never known of a game being released early.
I do have to
But
say though, really quickly, I do have to get a tissue. So you guys keep talking really quickly. I will be right back.
all right, no problem. But yeah, no, it's for those still listening, it's the Callisto Protocol was riding a massive hype train
Oh yeah.
built purely on the wheels of Dead Space. That was the issue.
Okay, I'm right over
And
here.
okay, nice, brilliant. Glad
I'm
to have you
just
back.
responding back to comments. They really improved on it. 60% nostalgia, 40% gameplay improvements. They brought some elements from Demon. Wow, I was about to say Demon Souls. Not Dead Space. Wow,
Ooh,
I have Demon
playing
Souls
with
on the
fire there,
brain.
girl.
Oh my god, I have Demon Souls on the brain. Um, the one thing I'd say is the makers themselves didn't keep bringing up Dead Space. Other people did, and that's wait a second, did that on their own, and the same people then felt disappointed. Yeah, there were a lot of big YouTubers who felt disappointed because they were expecting something larger than life. And while I don't think they really were prepared for the fact that game developers don't always want to do the same thing over and over again.
Y-
There has to be
Exactly.
some give and take. And the thing is that whenever I look at a video game and I look at a very popular series that a company is known for, and then they do something different, people normally get really disappointed because they're like, "What happened to this other massive thing that was happening?" And it's like, di- no, you're gonna do something different, obviously. What's ironic is that people
Yeah.
who wanted it to be Dead Space knew the remake was coming anyway, so it made no sense. Yeah, no, I agree with that because it's like they wanted one thing, they have another thing coming, but they wanted it to be like that said thing that's already coming. It's like they can't do that. They're not robots. Like developers aren't going to do that. To be fair, it had issues at release. IRC people had a tough time adjusting to the melee combat, and the AI seemed kind of dumb. That's the one part you have to stealth kill a bunch of zombies stand out. Interesting. Okay, so they were doing Resident Evil 4 stuff after years of already Resident Evil 4 stuff was out. So that's interesting.
Mm. No, it is interesting, and the whole thing with sort of like the point made there about like the developers never themselves spoke about the game being Dead Space like on the next Dead Space. That is true, but they also kind of damaged themselves because they almost intentionally rode that hype train on the Dead Space wheels
Yeah.
to try and get the game to sell more. Because like it's it's a smart move, which why as developers wouldn't you do that? If people are getting excited about your game, you're not going to shush them down by saying, guys, this isn't the next Dead Space. You're going to want them to go into it wanting to buy it for a reason, but they let the players get excited for the wrong reasons, and that has just really damaged the image of the game, which is a shame because what you've got here is kind of like is such a good entry. There are issues with the game, which both me and Chloe noticed. Like, there one of the main problems was there was real repetitiveness with enemy types,
Yes,
big
that's
time.
what I noticed as well. I wasn't a fan of it. After I saw that thing that kind of like split open, it was like a Gemini. It was like, two people
The
connected
two,
to one.
the
I was
yeah,
like,
the
and then it
two-headed
showed up
boss
four
there.
times. I even mentioned this in the
I
playthrough. I'm like,
know.
why are you showing this enemy to us like four different times? I get it. It's supposed to be a mean little SOV, but to have it appear four times, I like if it's
I know.
twice, I get it if it's twice. But four fucking
It's
There's
it.
sorry if I could just chime in.
No,
There
no,
was
go
Yeah.
on. Yeah.
also the constant being separated from your companion that I
Yeah,
noticed.
that it's
Yeah.
like every time they were making progress, something would collapse out from under Jacob, and he'd be like, "Ah, fuck, gotta climb up for an hour again." Like, just
He
Jesus
didn't he didn't
Christ.
seem too phased by it though. That's the thing. He fell down. Remember like in that one part where he was with Danny and he just literally fell down and he's like, "Oh well, guess I gotta find another way around." It's like, "You just fell down, my dude. Are you okay?"
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I get it. Jake is meant to be a hard ass dude, and again, that's the same. That's another one of the reasons why I actually quite liked him as a character because he wasn't supposed to be this super legendary badass soldier who has to come out of the throes of retirement to save this fucking colony from some kind of parasite. He was just this ordinary.
Max, I
He was
swear
just
to everything unholy, you just sounded like the guy from Left 4 Dead right now. What are you doing?
funny enough. I've never even played that game. Yeah, I mean, I've got it on my Steam library, but I'm
What?
yet to play it, so I
What
don't know
is
what he
that?
sounds like.
I it's like a mixture between Left 4 Dead and Days Gone. What do you do?
Oh
I,
god, it's
I, I was just going to say I apologize to the viewers out there if they could hear the talking bird in the background because our ringneck has kind of gone off on a tangent.
yeah, I can hear him myself for the headphones. He's in such a good mood. What the fuck's up with him tonight?
I don't
Weird
know.
little bastard.
Loco said maybe I got lucky. He got the combat right away. I found it actually scarier than Dead Space, even if I don't get scared of games. Yeah, I don't really get scared in games either. But it's interesting because I feel like I always hear the opposite from a lot of people saying that they always get more scared with Dead Space. So it'll be interesting to see how I find the game. Dead Space. Oh wait, no, wait, Shiny. Oh my gosh, hi Shiny. Hi Ariel and friend. I'm not home right now, but I'm popping in to say hi. I love you. Love you too. Hi Shiny. It's nice to see you. Dead Space didn't have that much variations in villains as well. I felt the design of the baddies in Dead Space weren't inspiring. Huh, well, I'll see how it is because I haven't seen any enemies yet. I'm literally just getting out of the ship that I'm in, so I couldn't play it for long last night. Um, Josh Dunhell is a cool dude. Yeah, he really is. Gaming is subjective. As long as you enjoy it, that's all that matters, my friend. Oh god, I'm gonna mess up that name. Elbithium loved it too, and that's the nature of the hobby. Preference will always rule the day. Yep, exactly. It's all subjective, and so many people tend to disregard that a lot of the time because they think that no, my opinion's rule of thumb. Well, my opinion's better. No, Team Switzerland's. Everybody's opinions are correct. Oh wait, did we lose Max?
No, no, I'm still here.
Oh,
I'm just I'm just processing a few things I heard. It was interesting to hear that somebody said they found the game scarier than Dead Space because I actually sort of like it was interesting for me because to begin with the combat it was a bit of a learning curve, but once I got the hang
yeah.
of it, I really enjoyed the combat. But once you master it, the
It's so
game is a bit
satisfying.
piss easy.
Yeah, it's so
It's satisfying,
satisfying
but
with
it
the
is
dodges.
easy.
I found that I was
I
like
know.
in demon boxing, floats like a butterfly and stings like a bee.
I know exactly, and the enemy sort of like okay, I will say the enemy design and combat with them is very very well done. Like the how
Yes.
they've got so many attacks that can be damaging or land a fatal blow. I Me and Chloe were both shocked by the amount of different ways Jacob could die. We were just like, this is
I,
brutal.
I
This
actually
poor
had to
Just
fucker.
skip some of them.
once.
I was like going
This
through the
this
game
poor.
and I had to skip a lot of them because they were too gruesome even for me.
I know
I
it's
don't
like
want to
this.
watch Josh Duhamel die over and over.
I kept on thinking that Josh
Oh.
Duhamel had to like act these deaths out as well. Like how weird must it be for him to play the game and literally watch himself get killed? It's like that was such a trippy scenario.
Think
But yeah,
think of it
it's
this
sort
way
of like
though. It's trippy to see yourself die, but how must it feel to be on the hearing end of things, listening to yourself doing the zombie gargling noises?
yeah, that would also be really weird too. Oof. But anyway, like back to what I was like, on back onto the thing I was on about. So like I loved the enemy design, and then I was impressed by the whole boss design as well because um I found a video on Twitter where the developers were talking about the two-headed boss.
Yeah.
They said that they said you can kill either head and it will still keep going. Like
Yep.
it's not scripted that the left one dies first and then the right. No, it could be right and then left or left and then right. So the boss is literally is running on random outcome, which is a really clever thing to do. Um, but the boss was just way overused, and this is actually now like going into my first question for you personally, sort of like
Oh, here we
they
go.
use they use two tropes way too much, which is repetitive enemy types,
Yes.
and that's not just a two-headed boss; it's just the general enemies themselves.
Yeah.
Like the whole enemies that use stealth in that like under that basement section through the mines and
Oh my
everything.
god.
Look,
I
they
can't.
had they had they had such a scary and impressive intro. Like it walks up to Jacob, clearly indicating
Loved
that
it so much.
it's based on hearing, like the clickers from The Last of Us. And I was just like, ah, fuck. Both me and Chloe were like, these are going to be nightmares. No, Jacob was running around stealthing these fuckers like Batman. It was just like, what the hell? These things are pathetic.
You see,
And
I love the intro of them, but a lot of the enemy types, even the coloration of how they did the skin tones for it, it was all the
yeah,
same. It was like, okay,
yeah,
like I would like to see at least some green globular gloopy things or like some
yes,
more red stuff or more like color pattern variations. Like it can't be like Fallout New Vegas where everything is the color of ground. Like
yeah, exactly. And this is my first question to you. I feel like the developers prioritize too much making this game being some kind of visual artistic spectacle graphics wise than actually making a varying level of sort of like content for the game, because what they've put in is good, but there's not enough of it being spaced out and varied for how long the game is. Because I felt like after like the third time I faced a two-headed boss and I was going through like the same enemies again for like the 50th time, and by this point in the game I'd mastered killing them with stealth or melee combat so much that I had so much ammo coming out of my ass that I was basically I was basically shooting at walls just to pick up spare ammo.
yeah.
And I was like, look, I've got so much ammo. Like, I saw people making comments saying ammo's too scarce, and I'm like,
It's
what are you
not.
playing?
It's not.
It really isn't.
Especially like if you play on easy, it's not like I and yes, oh my gosh, you guys, I play on easy. Like for review purposes, I always go on easy
Oh,
mode.
boo hoo.
You know,
Yeah, boo hoo. Yeah,
but
crucify her.
it's
And
one of those
shit,
things
shouldn't have
too of
said
where
that
it's
stuff.
like I see so many different enemy types that will deliver on different types of ammo and everything. But when it comes down to it, the ammo is definitely not scarce. If you're playing on hard, I can see how it might be like a little bit scarcer. But when you know like that the ammo drops at random and the trunks that you find different ammo and stuff in, there could be an enemy waiting
Hmm.
in there. That's why I compared it to the likes of like old school Resident Evil, because when you have scarcity of objects and you have like skill like in terms of health items, because there isn't scarcity of objects if you're on easy when it comes to ammo, but there is still scarcity of objects when it comes to health. So that reminded me
Yeah.
very much of like the ink ribbon situation that you would have if you clicked on hard when you were playing Resident Evil 1 remake. So
Yeah,
that
but
was really good.
yeah, but you see, here's an interesting spanner in the works here. Like I noticed this. I don't know if you noticed this because I don't know if you died a lot playing through the game on easy mode. I played through on normal, so I had a bit of a tougher time, and I did die quite a few times, especially to the first time I encountered the twin head boss. What I found out was that the crates that had the enemies were always scripted.
Yeah.
Like it was always the same ones. But the crates that dropped ammo and health and stuff,
Mhm.
they were randomized.
Oh yeah.
They never had the same items in them. So I'm like, this game's really weird, interesting, but weird for how like if you die and then progress, it can help you out in one way. But if you die and go back to the previous checkpoint and get to these crates again, they can give you stuff that you have no use for, and you're now going to have a harder time. So
It's
that was
true.
a really interesting, yeah, that was a really interesting way to make them work. So
Peter.
like I had a lot of fun opening and looting the crates, and it wasn't because I thought there could be an enemy in them. It was because I had no fucking clue what helpful things I was going to get.
Peter, I'm laughing at your comments. You play on easy, unsubscribing.
Wow, Peter's real man.
I love it though. It's one of those things too of where like with this game I found when you get towards the end of it, I think it's probably like second to last chapter, I want to say. You really find out more of the story and you know there's more of like what that segment of the story is in terms of like the virus and like the bacteria I want to say that's utilized within it, what they found, the miners, all that kind of stuff. You really see those stories
Yeah.
come to life and you see the doctor's story more so come to life. There was a lot of instances in the game of where I thought the psychology of survivor's guilt is riddled throughout this entire game.
Yeah, no. I'm not even somebody who sees things psychologically, and even I noticed that there's something more going on with Jacob. That's sort of like
Yeah.
it's almost like he's like at one point I thought maybe it was amnesia, and because he can't remember things from before, he's now developed this new trait, and he's now trying to make things right based on guilt. But I don't. I personally don't think it is amnesia. I think it might be selective memory triggered by his guilt, his survivor's
I
guilt.
I don't think it's amnesia. I think more or less he like I mean we don't know if it's physical or if it's by disassociation, to be honest, because if you're hit across the head hard enough, you will forget certain things. So we don't know if in the crash he experienced some sort of a concussion that made him have some sort of amnesic things go on, but it also could be disassociation from a certain time, because what our brains will do if we're put into a traumatic instance and it's something that is really bad for the brain to deal with, it like partitions it away so we don't have to deal with it, and it won't resurface until something really like much like that situation happens again. So it could be
Mm,
either or.
which is why I think it was a clever idea to sort of like leave an open door at the end of the game for a sequel, because
Yeah.
like fundamentally, like, spoiler alert for people who haven't played the game or anything, but this is a stream about Callisto's Protocol, so you were warned. At the end
Yeah.
of the game, they do make it very clear that Jacob very likely survived, because I
Yes.
mean they never openly specify he dies or he survives, but they clearly want and a chance to make a sequel, which I'm personally all for it, especially if they can improve upon
Yeah.
what was in this first one.
I feel like as
Um,
long as they improve on the monster variations, the way that they're colorized in terms of like how the skin tonality is and how, because let's be real here, okay? Human beings were all different kinds of colors and shades and variances and everything. Why not make monsters the same way too?
yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's it's you can tell they worked really hard on so many little things.
Yeah.
That's where I feel they went wrong, because I'm guessing they probably didn't either think about it or they ran out of time on making it and they just didn't want to delay the game or something. And for
Interesting.
me, that's an issue. And that's where hold on a second. Like, is Chloe, is Ross singing? Is that why she's
I can
going crazy?
hear. It's
Yeah,
so cute.
they're driving me insane.
Yeah, yeah. So that's
Shut
that's the
up!
My ears.
Oh my god, they actually did it.
you, you done?
Wait, Loco just said, I
You
said this
done?
before and I'll say this again: in about 3 to 5 years, everyone's going to be calling Callisto Protocol a hidden gem and love it, or it's going to be a game that people get on cheap and be very surprised. That's how I feel about Deadly Premonition. I started that game and I need to pick it back up because Deadly Premonition, I feel like, is one of those games too. So,
Ah, I think that was a game. Wasn't that a game I gifted you?
yes.
It was, yeah, I thought it was. Yeah, Deadly Premonition is something unique, very unique. It's such a clunky game
Excuse me.
in everything from the voice acting to the graphics, but it's a real hidden gem. Like, I think you're gonna really like it, especially with the story. So,
Excuse me.
but
Sorry.
no, yeah, what?
I'm sorry, I sneezed so many times.
I didn't hear him because they got cut out by your microphone, but I'm watching it on the stream right now. Yeah, you sneezed twice in a row.
Excuse me.
Um.
Bless you. Thank you, Loco.
Oh no, third sneeze. Is there a fourth one?
Oh, there's a bit of a delay, yeah.
Yeah.
No, but one thing I found that
Just a
was
little
rather
bit.
shocking about it is that the entire time Danny was one of those characters that I feel like I was actually growing an attachment with, because it's surprising. This entire game, there was no character. Like, no, and this is gonna sound so harsh, and I'm so sorry for all of the fans who are out there listening to this stream, but there was not a single character that I legitimately cared about in this game. They made the characters very one dimensional. The story itself was really good, but the way the characters went through the story, there was no attachments. Like, there was no, like, oh, this character
I'm
really feels deeply about this and this character really feels deeply about that. There was no emotional attachment in all of it. I felt like there was a
I'm
disconnect.
I am really glad you've said that and brought it up, because that actually is going to lead into like my second question for you, which is that I do personally believe that the developers tried too hard to make Jacob like Isaac Clarke from Dead Space, where he's just meant to be an
A
ordinary,
little bit.
everyday Joe guy. A little bit, yeah. You
Yeah.
think so? A
A
little
little
bit,
bit.
yeah, yeah.
Even, I mean,
It's
the Jacob is a lot cuter than Isaac is, though, just to give him that point. Allergies
yeah.
kicking off? Yes, massively.
Speaking Speaking on that thing about saying like you saying this character's cute and everything, I gotta quickly ask you, like God of War Ragnarok,
Yes.
Heimdall, how?
Yeah, I do not understand. I'm so sorry, I don't.
I thought you were poking fun at me for my for the way I did my. There was
I
something I
just
said.
I
Let me just preface this, okay, you guys. I said in one of the clips that I shared on Twitter, there was a part from my playthrough that I did of where he was like, "Come on, give me your best shot," and I was like, "All right, there, Heimdall, let's go, Daddy."
not only that, you actually said it in you said it in, I can't remember what it was, but I think it was like in another chat for where
I
I
think it
was
was a
with you.
community stream.
That was it. Yeah,
It
that was it. It
was.
was the last time we did the Just Chatting community
It
stream, and
was.
you were like you were like, I've got daddy issues with Heimdall, and I
Yep.
was like, I haven't
Yeah.
got as far as him yet, but and I got to him, and both me and Chloe were just like, what?
I feel so called out right now. Wait, Loco said
I've never hated a character so much in my life,
he's actually one of my favorite
except for Mike
characters in
the
the
Bell.
game.
Oh, girl, you don't love yourself.
You see, no, the thing is like not for the reason. Shut up. That's not why I like him. Okay, be quiet. The reason is because he's
I'm
one of
sorry.
the.
I'll be good.
It's okay. It's one of the. He's one of the more diverse characters intellectually because every single character in God of War, besides Mimir, and besides what is it, and besides, oh gosh, besides Kratos, a lot of them are very one-dimensional characters, and I know people will probably be like, Ariel, how could you say that? They always show the same emotional values, okay, whether it's Frey or whether it
I
is
can
Tyr. You
I can
see
actually agree with that. I can actually agree with that. Yeah,
like
that is.
yeah,
I can see what you mean. Obviously, there.
Mimir,
Yeah.
Odin, and Heimdall are the three most interesting characters in God of War Ragnarok.
Mimir. I love Mimir, but I am biased.
Oh
I
wait, there's
can't blame you
a
on that one because. Oh, sorry. On you go,
no, there's
Ari.
just a question. I'm sorry. Genuine question. If the monsters are a result of human experimental, how many different variations can they be in a remake of what is it? DP Isaac was such a boring character. Just my thoughts personally. DS remake Isaac was playing like a 45 old science teacher. You see, the thing is that I can't properly answer that question to the extent that I would like without playing the entirety of Dead Space. But when it comes to experimentals and when it comes to all that kind of thing, you would see still a variance of color patterning, whether it be from injection of needles, whether it be from electrodes, or whatever it is, discoloration of the skin over time.
Sorry.
So, what? What's up?
Can you Sorry, can you read the question again? Just read that out again.
Genuine question. If the monsters are a result of human experimental, how many different variations can there be? In the remake of Dead Space, Isaac was such a boring character. Just my thoughts personally, Dead Space remake, Isaac was playing like a 45-year-old science teacher.
See, okay, so I can sort of like make a comment on the second part of that question, because like Isaac was meant to be a dull guy. Even in the game, this isn't a spoiler for you, actually, don't worry. But even in the game, like one of the weapons he uses, the plasma cutter, it's
Yeah.
not even the weapon. It's meant to be one of his repair tools. So
Really?
that's how far. Yeah, so that's how far the game goes into basically saying this guy is just an average everyday guy who came to this place to do his job, and now he's caught up in trying to survive to the point where he's using everything he can to try and survive in the situation, including using something that's meant to be an everyday repair tool to fight these fucked up things. So yeah,
Yeah, because I mean, like
but that's
I'll have more insight on it after I play the game. But yeah, I think it's interesting that you bring that up because like there are certain tropes and certain character types that do well in horror games and others that don't. The regular Joe Schmo martyr savior guy type character doesn't really do well unless you have a good story to back it up. So I'll be interested to see
yes,
how this guy, and his story goes. I think there's
yeah,
a reason many
that's
people.
why.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, I was just answering a
No, no,
comment.
no. That's fine. I was just letting you finish. Yeah, I was just gonna say like that's why like I was both happy but also kind of like bored with the ending of the Callisto Protocol with Jacob because I was just like he's gonna sacrifice himself to apologize for what happened for the girl and her like little sister or niece. Can't remember what it was. I'm like, of course he is. And then I was like, I wasn't expecting him to die, but then he pops up and he's like, oh, he's still alive. Of course he is. And it's
Yeah.
like the ending of the game. You can see it coming from a fucking mile off. It's like somebody wearing a clown wig. You're gonna see it. So
Yeah. And the thing is
it's
that with a lot
yeah.
of horror games, especially, I feel like the same thing is done over and over and over again. That's why we're so desensitized to horror. It's because everything is done. That's why when Martha is Dead came out, it wasn't that it was a breath of fresh air. It was a fucking nightmare because everyone was like, why is someone's face being peeled off? It's because it's being edgy for edgy's sake and it's violence against women. That's why. Because every single time that you see a horror game, you either see the trope of the serial killer who's trying to be a good guy, or you see the boring dude who has a 9 to 5 job figure out that he's a freaking martyr in this wasteland and has to figure out a way to get out. So many times we see so many similar types of tropes and different ideals, and it makes me cringe almost because people who are in the gaming industry, I'm calling you guys out right now in your BS because you guys are leaning towards it and it's not pretty, of where everyone is trying to be edgy for edgy's sake. And what's going to happen after that limit is reach? What? It's going to be like Saw? Like the movie Saw? Like,
I
what's going to
I
happen?
I I personally think we've already reached it. I really do because it's just like I'm starting to look at games being developed these days, and I'm starting to see like there's nothing really new happening. So what's now happening is that game developers are starting to take gambles, which are sometimes paying off, sometimes not. And we saw this with games like God of War 2018 and The Last of Us Part 2 because in God of War 2018, they took a huge fucking gamble for where like, they completely changed the whole game from how the originals
Oh,
were
yeah.
into sort of like something new, and they had no idea if it was going to resonate with the fans or not. Luckily, it did. It was a huge payoff to the point for where the game beat Red Dead Redemption 2 of all titles for Game of the Year
Yeah.
award. And I personally cannot complain. I couldn't think it went to a more deserving game. I
Yeah.
wouldn't be happy with either one, to be honest, but I really deserve it. But in The Last of Us Part 2, well, we all know the story with that one. It was like 50% players were like, this is the best game of all time. 50% of players were like, oh, it's shit. I hate it. They've done the worst thing ever. It was a gamble, which I think Neil Druckmann and Naughty Dog took, and it's an interesting one because it both paid off and it also didn't. It's a really difficult one.
I think
Like
that's
I've
just
played
your
through the game
opinion.
three. No, it's honestly like I've played through the game 3 times now, and I
Yeah.
actually do have a different view than what I originally had on from when I first played through it. And I've got more appreciation for some parts of it. Like I now have a huge appreciation of the character Jesse,
Oh,
but
yeah.
I've lost appreciation for other parts of it, and I've my overall score of it has actually dropped by 1 point. I now personally feel it's a 6 out of 10 game because
Dare
of
you.
what the game. How dare I? How dare I? Well, allow me to show you.
All
So,
right, there, Cuff, calm
I
down. Hey, what's going on,
no,
Random
I
Biggs? How are you? Sorry.
Random Biggs. Welcome to the stream. I'm
I
curious,
do have to
Biggs. Is
say
that like a
though,
reference?
The Last of Us did something that no other zombie game did. It reinvented the zombie. It really did. Because when
Not zombies.
cetropods, cleomorphs, whatever they're called. The thing is that whenever you reinvent something that attacks other humans, it's basically called a zombie. But this time they made what the zombie troping character is into something more unique. And I know you're gonna disagree with me on this, but I feel like it's true.
I'm I already am. I already am because they're not zombies.
They aren't
I could
zombies,
lit
but they are an extent, because whenever you see the way that they're designed and the way that they come after people and the way that they are looked at, they kind of are to an extent.
it it does look like zombies, but it's an incorrect viewpoint, and I could do a full-on Aspie cuff moment and describe it,
Max,
but
please don't start.
I'm
Chloe,
sorry.
Chloe's like,
It's like
no.
it's like when pe it's like when people see we're not even married yet, and she's already got things about me which she knows is a bad thing.
What I will say is that even though I know that you're correct, I know that they are not zombies. They are nothing like it. It's the way that the characters are written. That's the way it looks. That's why it looks like that. Because when you, even if you have, I don't know, Peppa Pig, you know it's not a zombie, but if the character is written in such a trope, it's gonna act like it. So
That's gonna fuck up my dreams tonight.
Peppa Pig wants to have bacon.
Oh god, she can just eat herself. Ugh. Okay,
Oh God.
actually, I do have a genuine serious question in regard to this then, I just want to quickly ask. So
Okay.
in saying what you just said, that they're not zombies, but they are with the way they're written, do you think you could still say that then, knowing for the fact that the infected from The Last of Us do what they do in attacking humans because it's what they're doing through the fungus's evolution and instinct for survival. Whereas with zombies, it's just that they are being triggered to eat humans that move. It's nothing to do with survival. It's what zombies do. There's
But
never been a real explanation as to why zombies eat people other than they're zombies.
He won't
Whereas with
let
the
this go, by the way.
shut up,
I'm curious about something, because Peter made a really
don't be
good point
smart.
about this. Peter said when that fungus attacks ants out in nature, they're called zombie ants, which is true. I mean, there's a biological explanation for this, and a lot of them it only happens to ants and xenometapodic type creatures, I believe it is. But it is the term for it is zombie fungus. That's just what it is in biology. So even though it's derived from a fungus or a what is it, like a plume,
Peter
if
just
you
sent me
will.
up the river. How dare he?
Yeah, I know. Even though it's
Peter,
derived from a
Peter,
spore. it-
She is right, Max, just coming from someone who studies animals.
yeah, even though it comes from a spore and it comes from something
eh,
that spreads, it is only localized to one creature. So even, and Chloe will know this because she studies animals and everything for a living, basically. It only
et
attacks one
tu,
certain thing. So
et tu, Chloe.
It too.
cut to what?
Last words of Caesar. Last words of Caesar. You too, Brutus. I was just asking you too, Chloe.
Vidi
Betraying
Vidi
me.
Vici?
I have been. I have been thoroughly defeated. I can't argue this anymore.
Look, I could take you into uni one day and introduce you to my lecturer, Chris, if you want.
I'm
I'm
not
sure
allowed.
he'll tell you like a whole
You
different story about it.
you know I'm not allowed in your uni after threatening those kids. All right.
Okay, you don't want to say that on YouTube, please. This is a live stream.
He didn't threaten any kids, it's just a joke.
Okay, thank you,
Not that you know of.
Max.
They threw a can at me,
I will
so I was
suspend you
just
for
gonna.
5 minutes.
They threw a can at me, so I was just going to return it to them by inserting it into one of their orifices. So
Please don't say that on a live stream. That's no,
I was
no.
teaching
We don't.
them.
No, no, no,
I
no,
was
no,
teaching
no,
them how to
no,
not litter.
no, 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 no. We're not going to do that because YouTube takes things way too seriously.
That is true. They do. They are very over the top.
No, we're
Not
not
as
going to
bad
do
as
that right
Twitch,
now.
but yeah.
Loco said, to be fair, gameplay wise in the actual world of The Last of Us 2 was perfect. The story for me was terrible, which could have been saved. Oh, interesting. Because I actually really enjoyed the story. I think there could have been some areas to tweak around a little bit story wise, but um, when the fungus, yeah,
See,
okay, so
if
here.
See, if you want actually a really good opinion, you want to ask Chloe because Chloe loves The Last of Us so much. You said you played through the first game. What is it, like 14 times or something?
Yeah.
Nice.
The first game is one of my favorite games of all time. I loved the second game overall. I did have my own issues with the story. Like, I appreciate what they were trying to do, but obviously, spoilers for anyone who hasn't played it. I feel like Joel's death was a bit too sudden. I think they were trying too hard to, like, what's the word?
Show Showcase that the world is just overly dangerous.
Well, yeah, that as well, but too much of a shock factor. Like,
Yeah,
You
yeah.
guys,
obviously, everyone who played the first game absolutely loved Joel, and going into the second game, like, you obviously want more of him and Ellie, because that's one of the parts that made the first game so amazing. And just seeing him gone so quickly, like, while I enjoyed the game, I felt numb for most of it.
yeah, I completely
Does that
understand
make
that.
sense?
It does. I
I
think the only reason why the death was like it was shocking for me, but as I went on, and I don't know if you guys are ready to accept this opinion, Nut. Are you sure you want to hear it?
Of course, yeah, please.
Go for it.
I think that his death was a necessity in the story because when you look at the brutality of the world and you look at the age that Joel had gotten to, he had gotten comfortable. He had started to build a family again. He had started to get to a place of where like I can actually relax and rest and retire, quote unquote. So with
Oh
that,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
with that happening, I feel like it doesn't matter, who you are or what happens. Not every death is going to go out in a blaze of
Excuse me.
glory. We can't have every death happen like The Walking Dead. So with him, it
Yeah.
was more of like just a tragic event, and it was more realistic for something that could actually happen to someone.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's a very complicated world and story, which is why like Max has gone on about it to be a lot, and will I disagree with him on some points? Like everyone's got their own views on the game. Like I think it's designed to be like that.
Yeah. Oh, Neil Druckmann knew what he was doing, hands down. And I just have to say,
Oh
as
yeah,
as an
I
aside, I really
I
appreciate
don't
the way that he included Judaism into the game, the way that he like made me feel represented with Dina's character and
yeah.
putting in a synagogue. That made me feel so happy, and I didn't know he was Jewish too.
I
So
know the synagogue was beautiful.
I'm
so
not gonna lie, like even for me personally, that whole part with going through the synagogue and having Dina talk about it to Ellie was one of my favorite parts of the game. I
yeah,
actually wanted more of it.
I knew.
I really did want more of it.
And Dina saying, "Well, we come from a long line of survivors." I literally yelled out at the TV. I was like, "Yeah, we do. Yes."
That is brilliant.
Loco commented, "What was interesting about when Abby, as a kid, saw Joel kill her father, she must have saw her dad made a move first. Also, Joel didn't brutally beat him to death, but she brutally killed him. That's true. That is very true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the one thing that I didn't agree about with Joel's death. Like, I do get it as well because she lost her dad and obviously she
yeah,
wanted to punish him, but I feel like she could have looked at it a more subjective view. Everyone loses their family in that sort of that world.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Joel's
she didn't
death
have to go
balanced the
Tiger Woods on
scales.
him.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Peter said, "I'll play it if they ever put it on PlayStation Plus," which I think they would because it's on sale. I think for $9.99 or something like that.
I think
I believe it
I think
is, yeah.
I think you're probably right. I think it will eventually come to the PlayStation Plus thing, and they'll probably do that when they bring Part 2 to PC, which I
Oh
think is a
yeah.
which I think is a guarantee to happen because Part 1's on its way, which Chloe
I'm
is
so
super
excited.
excited about.
Listen, I don't
Oh
care about
my
them putting that on PC. All we need is Bloodborne on PC. That's what we need. That's what we want, okay?
I don't think it's ever going to happen as painful as it is because I think PlayStation hold Bloodborne too close to their chest.
No, no.
That's like their ace in the hole. They're gonna keep that as their trump card for all time.
I'm not delusional
And
about many things, Max, but this one thing I will remain delusional on, okay?
I know, and I want to be delusional with you because honestly, I am all for PlayStation games going to other platforms. I really am. I'm like, fuck. I'm even like, put them on Xbox.
Yeah,
Let people experience these games as much as possible because one, it will not only get a bigger fan base, and two,
Yes.
it will net you more profit.
look at God of War. God of War did so well on PC.
Oh
Right,
yeah.
and they did such a fucking smart move with announcing the first one going to PC just a few months before the second one comes
I
out. That was
know.
so clever.
You know what I find interesting
Uh,
though is that so many people are like, "What game has come to Game Pass from PlayStation?" I'm like, Death Stranding. That's a major one that they
Right.
did,
yeah,
and it's like so many games are coming to like PC or Xbox. I'm like, Death Stranding, God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn. Need I go on? And Returnal, by the way, and Last of Us Part One.
yeah.
Exactly. I'm so tired of the console wars, honestly. I had it was when Forspoken came out actually, because I did put out a little rant tweet about the specs for PC. I was like, my PC with an RTX 3070 shouldn't struggle to handle the game. Like, it's a gorgeous game, but it's not that graphically demanding. It just
No,
obviously isn't optimized
Mm.
properly.
yeah.
And then I had some Xbox fanboy come under. They're like, it only runs at like what exactly did he say again,
He
Max?
said something like 720p and 40 frames per second or
On
something.
like the PS5, and I was like, okay, you're telling me this why? It's like I don't care.
Yeah,
Oh, Peter asked a good question. Bloodborne on PC or Bloodborne 2? Bloodborne 2. Please. Please. Now. Okay.
again, I don't think Bloodborne 2 will ever happen because
Shh.
Miyazaki really isn't a big fan of doing sequels.
No. He did 4. I'm sorry. He did 4 Souls games. Demon Souls and Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3. Actually, he didn't do Dark
Five,
Souls 2. So,
five technically, because Elden Ring is nothing more than Dark Souls 2.0.
watch your tongue, mister.
What? I'm just spitting facts.
It's not a
Deal with it.
I I do like Elden Ring. I will say it is one of my favorite Souls games, but I do not think it should have won Game of the Year personally,
No,
but
it
that's
really
just my
shouldn't have.
opinion. I think it should have went to Ragnarok.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm just going to sit here and close my mouth because you know what? If you guys are watching the stream, you're gonna know my expression. You know what? I'm happy that Elden Ring won, but I also am sad that Ragnarok lost. Okay, the Ragnaroki didn't win. I get this, but
No,
also,
don't get me. I really like Elden Ring. It is a good game. I recently just got it from my dad on PC, and
oh
like I have
nice.
enjoyed what I have played so far of it.
What's interesting though is that you saw a lot of the fanboys come out of the woodworks when that game did not, when the game won Game of the Year and
Oh yeah,
Ragnarok didn't. Oh my god, there were so many. I stayed off Twitter for about
I
48 hours after
I
that.
it was
I
bad. It was
I
so bad.
I literally saw an Xbox hardcore Xbox fanboy and an Xbox as they're called. I really want to say his name because I want to call him out, but I
No,
won't
no.
just to spare like the trouble. Like I'm not going to do it. But he basically said, well, an Xbox. He said something along the lines of an Xbox exclusive may not have won Game of the Year, but I'm going to be happy that it's Elden Ring just so that the hardcore Sony fans can cry over the fact it wasn't a PlayStation exclusive.
Oh my
I'm like,
god.
dude, you're a fucking grown man, and this is what you're choosing to do with your free time. And
Wow.
then he's actually responded to me because I've called his tweets out so many times, saying like, dude, like seriously, you need to grow up. And he's responded to me going, it's just harmless fun. I'm not doing any problems.
It's
This
not
isn't meant to be
harmless.
played seriously. I'm like, dude, you're literally sparking massive arguments between people who literally have no life. You know exactly what you're doing. Don't tell me what you're doing isn't anything is harmless because it is.
Can I ask you a question,
There are
Max?
people.
Genuine question.
Go for it. Yeah,
Why
go
do
for
you,
it.
why do you respond to these people? They're
Because
Yeah, I
NPCs.
ask him this all the
What?
time
They are
as well.
it
NPCs on your map that don't mean
it's
anything.
it's it doesn't matter because it's like I'm playing the game of life. I'm gonna speak to the NPC, aren't I? And I get
Max
angry.
just loves to argue with people.
I get angry because I'm just like these people are just making it worse, and I'm sick and tired of them making it worse.
Listen,
I just
if
want.
I, a person who does this for a living, can ignore these people, and literally when I close my computer and shut it off for the night, they're gone. What I amazing concept. I know I should have thought of it sooner, but it's one of those things of where any time that I see the nonsense go on, I block. I don't respond unless it's something that is really crucial to have an educational moment with people on the timeline. Then yeah, I'll say something. But for like 95% of the bullshit, I don't report back because it is either anti-Semitic crap, it's console war garbage, or it's something to the extent of where people are trying to discredit me as a journalist. I don't have time to like integrate my knowledge into theirs because they have none to integrate with.
I know, and you are completely right, and which is why I think you'd be proud of me when I tell you that I have actually been muting them lately. Like even
Good.
I'm done with it. I'm done with seeing the bullshit. I'm sick of it so much.
It got to the point where I'd walk into the room and I'd see him on his phone and be like, "Who are you arguing with now?"
I don't
Just all of those
argue.
massive pendejos out there.
I don't. I've told you before. I don't argue. I explain. There's a big difference.
No, yeah, I'm not going to say anything back because he's just going to start arguing with me.
Let's
That
see.
is
A
not
loco
true.
said, "To be fair, these awards are meant to be fun. In reality, who gives a shit who wins the award? If you love the game, that's all that matters." It's true, but the culture surrounding these award shows tends to be kind of toxic because there's a lot of gamergate broship kind of stuff going on. So, I mean, if it were just that, if people really did follow that advice, I would love it so much. But it's a lot of people don't, and it's sad. So,
It is so true. It is so true. It was actually Chloe who pointed this out to me, and it blew my mind at how true this was. But she pointed out to me we didn't see all of this big company corporation buying up studios and making games exclusive until the console wars took off to a really new height at the start of the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X/S generation came along. Like once that gen
yeah.
came along and it hit a new level, that was when the studios started buying up and selling. And so, you know, Sony bought Bungie and Blue Point Studios, and then now Microsoft is trying. Sorry, not Microsoft. No,
Sony?
sorry, yeah, it is.
Oh, Microsoft?
Microsoft is trying to. No, sorry, Microsoft is trying to do the Activision and Blizzard's acquisition thing, isn't it? So
It didn't go through though.
did it not?
No, it didn't go through. It ended up not, which is sad. From what I know, from
See,
what my sources are telling me, and from what I know around Twitter, and from everything that I'm being told, don't take my word for it, but from what I'm hearing, it did not go through.
See, okay, so I'm like this. My reaction may surprise you, but I honestly couldn't have cared either way. I really couldn't have. I was legit sitting there saying, if Microsoft want them, have them. But I was in a unique position where I openly said like, none of neither of side of the deal, like Activision and Blizzard, really had anything I cared enough about that it was going to be a loss if it went. Aside from maybe Crash Bandicoot, which is a franchise I love,
the
but
The
at
thing
the end of
is
the
that
day, those.
sorry, no, I was just gonna say really quickly. The thing is that
Oh, no, you go, please, please.
it wasn't just about the games. It was about getting people at Blizzard out of a toxic work environment.
Yes, which
Yeah.
is that is the saddest part of it, I think, which is that those people are still beyond help. But it's why I think it's why I think journalism about it still needs to keep on going, which is why I wholeheartedly support any journalist who's putting the truth out there to please keep doing it because it needs to be seen. Like Bobby Kotick is a man who doesn't just deserve to be called out; he deserves fucking prison for the
Yeah.
rest of his life. He really does. Like
Have
he's
a good night, Loco. Thank you.
he's such a toxic prick. Nightman, he's such a toxic prick that he has to like he's just I generally I I generally I'm generally scared about the future of the gaming world because of people like him. And it's heartbreaking as well because we're seeing it so much more often. Like it's happened from Quantic Dreams, the company that made Detroit Become Human and the
Oh yeah.
others. And it even happened with Chloe in one of her favorite games, Ori and the Blind Forest and Will of the Wisps.
Yeah.
It came out about
Yeah,
their
Moon
company as well.
Studios.
Yeah, I heard about that. That was really heartbreaking to hear.
It needs to fucking change because people need to start accepting that the world of gaming is now becoming like a unisex slash all genders and pronouns place. Like everybody's starting to work there and be in it now, and it
Oh
needs
yeah.
to change.
Sorry, do you not remember that thread I was telling you about last night, Max? About the
Remind me.
guy that was going on about like how basically women in game dev positions are like ruining gaming, and he was just like
Oh,
going
I've
after
seen
Oh,
their
that.
look.
oh,
Yeah,
the one who was saying like all like the alt girls with the dyed hair and shaved parts of ruining gaming. Yeah, that one.
yeah,
Yep,
and they
seen
were
that
Yeah,
they
one.
were getting really bad. They were like they're ruining their femininity and shit. I was like, oh, shut up.
what a load of bollocks. I mean, like for example, you're quite tomboyish yourself, Chloe, but you're still fucking gorgeous. Like the hell.
Well, I
Some
know
people.
I look fucking
Oh.
awesome.
I know you look. I know you look awesome. Why do you think I want to fucking marry you?
I hope that's not the only reason.
Broken
Well,
Logo game
no, it's not
saying
the only
Atomic
reason.
Heart had to be a troll. Oh god, do we even want to
Oh,
dive
So
into that
I,
topic right
I,
now?
I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know much about Atomic Heart aside from the only thing I've recently found out
Yeah.
was that Chloe told me earlier is that the Ukrainian government is calling for it to be banned.
Well,
And I'm
I
yeah,
like,
seen a post
why?
about
that's
it. Not sure if it's true or not.
that's the thing. That's why people are shitting on the game because it's from Russian developers who are being sponsored by the government, I think.
Yeah,
But
but
I'm
I'm
not
pretty
sure.
sure like didn't the developers actually come out and openly say that they don't support the war in Ukraine?
I don't know. I did not hear about that at all.
I'm I I I'm pretty sure I did, but I could be wrong. So I could be wrong. So please don't quote me.
Yeah,
But yeah, no,
no,
it's just
it's interesting because I saw the game footage and everything like that. It's not a game that's particularly for me, but I feel like there's always going to be drama around every single game that comes out. It's just
it's
ridiculous.
it's on it's on Games Pass, so I think I will give it a shot on my PC at some point. But I'm not going to be rushing to play it anytime soon. It's going to be there. It's going to be one of the background ones I play at some point because it is a little interesting. But for me, I'm just starting to get sick of all this political embargo crap happening around games. Like Hogwarts Legacy, that's only recently started to go silent, but there's still people barking about it, and I'm like, it's just a fucking game. I want to
I,
play it because it looks fun, not because I want to make a statement.
well, the thing is that I'm not okay. So my whole thing on this, I haven't talked about it on Twitter a lot because I don't want to get into Hogwarts Legacy,
If you
but I can
if you
discuss
don't want to
my
talk about it here, don't. I was just gonna say, if you don't want to talk about it,
yeah.
please don't
I
feel
mean,
you
I
have
could
to.
discuss my viewpoint really quickly on it because it's very, very simple. I'm for the
Yeah, go for
boycott
it.
of the game only because and I'm not saying like if you play the game you're a bad person. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that it was supposed to be a peaceful boycott. That's not what happened at all. Most of you guys know I'm Jewish, and there's a lot of anti-Semitic crap that was in the game. Um, and specifically with the date that is from 1612 to 1616, as they called the Goblin Uprising, which is also the dates of massacres of Jews that happened. And also that
Oh,
the fact
damn.
that they use that date is too specific to be a coincidence. They use the shofar, which is a Jewish instrument, and they said it's used to annoy wizards. So I'm like, really? And it's also a fact of where it's like you guys had so much you guys in general the audience y'all had really a lot of time to come out with these claims that you'll support you know um my people to support Jewish people. Where were you all before this game? Like that that's what I want to know. There's still anti-Semitism,
Yeah.
there's still transphobia, there's still all this stuff that's going on. What made it that you guys finally said, no, this game came out, we're gonna make sure that we're anti-racist, we're anti all of this stuff just because a game came out from a turf. That I just want to know, where were you guys before all of this? It's great that some people are
Yeah.
stepping up and doing a
That's
peaceful
that's
protest. I'm happy about that, but you know,
yeah, that's
Like,
that's more than a fair enough
yeah.
question. Yeah.
I've not weighed in too much on it. It's personally not a game I'm really interested in. Like,
same.
I liked Harry Potter when I was a kid, but I'm not interested in it now. I'm really not.
Like
But Scotland very recently has had its own run-ins with J.K. Rowling. I
Oh,
do not like her at all. She's quite a horrible person.
oh yeah, she really protested the what
The
was it? The
gender reformation
information
bill.
thing. That was
oh,
it, yeah.
jeez. Yeah,
Like,
it's
it was harmless. Women are acting like their rights are being taken away. They're not.
No,
yeah.
no. It's just crazy. Like for me personally, like I said, I just want to play the game because it looks fun and it's a bit of nostalgia for me. Because for me, when I was a kid, I read the first Harry Potter book when I was like 9 or 10, and it was like the first ever real book I read, and it was the first ever real full book series I ever read. It was what got me into reading, which is why it's like a little, it's like a little nice
Yeah,
bit of
it's
my
nostalgic for
past.
you, and you want to be able to enjoy that
Exactly.
nostalgia.
Exactly, and that's all I ask is for people to just like I want to play it because it looks fun, and that's all I want. Fun.
And
I'm
it's
not
just
making
like
a statement. I'm not saying this and that.
yeah. And it's
Sorry, you go again?
unfair. No, I'm just saying, like, it's unfair that people think that harassing others is okay in the slightest, because so many streamers who I know and so many people who have streamed the game. I want to make this very very clear. I don't support the harassment. I don't support people going after others just for simply playing a game. The money, yes, it does go part of it to J.K. Rowling. That's just how it works. You can't have ethical consumption under capitalism. There is no way that that's going to
No, yeah,
happen. But the fact of the matter
you're
is
not
that
gonna stop it. Yeah,
yeah, and like what my choices are for me personally is, like, even though there's no ethical consumption under capitalism, we can still make choices to alleviate some of what is going into her pocket. So that's where I'm like, I don't care what people play, but for me personally, I'm going to just make my own choices. It's very, very simple. I don't know why people haven't grasped onto it yet, that you make your own choices, you make your own decisions, but no one else has a right to tell you what to do, you know?
exactly. Yeah, which is why I really felt for that the stream of girlfriend's reviews where the poor girl was brought to tears because I'm like, is if you want to make a fight about what you believe in, this isn't the fucking way to do it.
No,
You
it's
don't
not.
destroy someone's feelings so much that they're in tears over it. That's just the opposite of what you are.
Yeah. And I get it, people have strong opinions about it. I respect that. I want, you know, I wanted to make it very transparent that I respect people's choices and how they govern what they do and how they do it. But harassing others is not the way to get a message across in any shape or form, because harassing will
Yeah.
negate from the message that you are trying to send and trying to spread. Yes, trans lives matter. Jewish lives matter as well. And let me tell you something else. There is always going to be a fight that we have to fight. But for me personally, activism is not one of them. I feel like it's so stressful for me to do any sort of type of activism because my mental health cannot do it.
No, that's
Yeah.
I don't blame you on that now because in the 21st century, it's become so damn demanding. It really has. It's much. For some people, it's too much.
Yeah. And that's all I'm going to really say on the game. I mean, like, I feel like I've even said an opinion too much that someone's not going to like. Stay tuned to me getting canceled.
No, no, seriously, don't be afraid to say your full opinion on anything because as the classic saying goes from Ricky Gervais goes, like if you give an opinion and someone gets offended over it, just because they're offended
Doesn't mean they're
doesn't
right.
mean they're right.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah. I mean, there are certain things that I'm going to fight tooth and nail for. I'm going to fight for my heritage to be spoken. I'm going to fight for, you know, my visibility as a woman to be spoken. I'm going to fight for that. But I can't fight a war where no one is willing to listen. That I can't do
Of
that.
course.
And the
Yeah,
thing is
that's
like, as a
that's
journalist with so many of my friends who have covered the game Hogwarts Legacy, I feel so bad for them because they got so shit on for something that was just their job. Like,
Yeah, like that's like the ones that made me laugh were like the reviewers who were saying like we didn't even play the full game because we can't support this anti-Semitic, transphobic piece of like
so then
waste.
why did
So
you
we're
buy the
just gonna
game if you weren't going to review it? I don't
exactly,
I don't okay,
exactly, and
this is where I don't understand. Are people trying to make a political statement by not playing the game and trying to smack on things, or are they actually just trying to are you actually going to give the game a fair review? If you're going to do something, then do it all the way or don't do it at all. Like I don't get
exactly, like
it.
I was gonna say, they openly admit they never even finished the game, and then they give it an overall score of like 2 out of 10. And I'm like, how can you give it an overall score when you didn't even fucking finish it? It
Exactly.
doesn't make sense.
It's like I was born in 1992. Okay, there was still there was a lot of stuff that was left over from the previous decades that I still have to get out of my system. But when it comes to logic, there's none. There's none whatsoever. And I'm very much a person of logic and consistency. Whenever you don't have logical consistency, it's very hard to argue any point at all.
Yeah, no, that is true. That is true, and that's the whole problem with this whole Hogwarts Legacy thing, which is that both sides of the argument over it have they've both forgotten what the main point they were fighting for is now.
Yeah.
That's the big issue.
The whole point that we were fighting for was a simple boycott to have less sales for the game to get the point across that J.K. Rowling's world is anti-Semitic and transphobic. That was it. It was a very simple goal. It was a very simple objective and quest line that people had, and I feel like my personal thing is that you are not a transphobe if you buy the game. You're not anti-Semitic if you buy the game. What you do with your own money is your choice. That's fine, but you know,
Yeah,
don't don't preach to other people and be a hypocrite at the same time. Like if you're buying the game and you see that there's something wrong with it, speak out on it. You paid for the game.
yeah,
It's your right to speak out on things. I feel like that would be a nice balance. Also, buy it. If you're gonna buy the game, send the payment that you made of the game, send it to trans life funds, send it to relief for people in
yeah.
Israel.
That's a good idea.
Like
It's like
balance it out.
it's just freaking hilarious because I mentioned at one point a while back I actually deleted the tweet because I got such backlash for it, but I just openly said that like I'm actually really considering buying Hogwarts Legacy because it looks like a really fun blast from my past, and somebody basically started commenting on it, and they were acting like I was planning to walk out of the game shop brandishing the swastika and saying only male and female exist as genders. Like, why am I doing this? I just want to buy a game.
I'm
Like,
not
why am I
gonna
getting this?
I'm not gonna lie to you guys right now, and I'm gonna be openly transparent about my mental health. I'm kind of shaking right now, because I'm very scared that I'm going to get attacked for my opinion on this. Not gonna lie, like my mouth is like I'm trying to stop from shaking currently. I think I might be getting a panic
Like,
attack. Being
it's
utterly transparent about
uh,
this right now.
don't don't be because you know I've always got your back 100%, and because I'm partly to blame for this opinion of yours. Partly to blame for this opinion of yours coming
No,
out.
no, you're
I
not to
will.
blame. It's just a transition of topics. That's it.
No, no, I am partly to blame because I brought it up, and I'm more than happy to take responsibility for it. So I will, I mean, not that it's a reason for me to do it, but I will always have your back in anything that gets thrown your way. Like if anybody starts attacking you, I'm going to be there. Same,
Yeah.
same with Peter in the chat. He's going to be there fighting for you as well. Chloe too, I'm sure as well. Even though she doesn't want to get involved in drama, I'm sure she'll more than have one or two things to say.
I just try
Of
to
course.
distance myself as much as possible because it saddens me the state that we're in with cancel culture because people who are genuinely good people who don't mean any harm by anything are getting attacked and it makes me so sad.
I
Oh
know,
yeah, it's
Like,
terrible.
I know. It's just
so,
like um, I feel awful now to know that you're like you were on the verge of a panic attack over it because you didn't deserve that. I am sorry. I should have never have brought up the game. So I
No, you're
apologize.
fine. You guys, I just need a minute really quickly, okay?
Of
Yeah, no, that's
course.
fine. That's
Take your
fine.
time.
Hey, Haley, I'm over here. I'm so sorry. I just started to cry. So sorry, you guys. Okay. Um, Complete another transparency, you guys. I just had a panic attack, like I literally just broke down. So I'm going to make something very clear before we move on. and do any more like discussion about anything, because we're gonna discuss a little more about the Callisto Protocol, and then we're gonna leave it off for the night. Um, my opinions are my opinions. If you guys decide to, like, for any random people who hear this podcast all the way through, if you decide to attack me for my opinion, that's your problem. It's not mine. Uh, you know, when from the perspective that I come from, everyone has a right to their own opinion. Everyone has a right to speak their mind on certain things. I just get so scared about a lot of stuff because I as I'm growing, I'm finding that my voice is having more impact, and that terrifies me sometimes because it's like I'm not just a small YouTuber with 100 subscribers. I have like almost 3,300 of you here, and I have to take that seriously, but also it weighs on my mind so much sometimes. So that's what I'll say about that, Max, if you want to insert something.
I think the best thing I can insert is that I think that's the best thing you can say. That's all you need to say. Just make
Yeah.
it very clear that your opinion is an opinion. It's not you stating a fact, it's just you stating what you personally believe and see. And if people take it too seriously, in other words, they treat it as a fact, then the only truth they need to face is that it's their issue, not yours.
Yeah. So,
Some people are spending way too much time online and they forget to see the world from an objective point of view.
Hmm.
yeah, because it's not just black and white. There's gray areas coding everything.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I'm glad you guys are here. I'm glad that I did not expect to have a panic attack midstream. That never happens. So yeah, sorry about that. um,
Yeah, you can blame it on me, chat. So if you want to throw things at anybody, throw them at me.
I'm gonna throw Last of Us 2 copies at you.
No, my kryptonite.
I'll do it for you if you want.
Oh yeah,
Got two
thanks.
copies in the house.
Hey, no, 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 no. Those are steel books. I'll literally die. Those will kill me.
So where do we want to pick off the conversation next with the Callisto Protocol to end it off on an interesting note?
Well, I have just one more question that I really kind of like want to overall ask you about it, and
Yeah.
because I think we've discussed everything there is to discuss about it, from the gameplay to the content to things that they think that things that like were mistakes that were made with it and everything, and then there's a sort of like, if you're up for it, I would like to have some general gaming chat with you and everything,
Yeah, absolutely.
just for the last few minutes. Um, my last question for you is just like, do you personally believe that there's a chance for a new successful IP happening here? Because the Callisto Protocol, as we said, it has very much a lot of the Dead Space DNA in it, but it's still doing its best to be something new. It obviously had a hiccup with this first installment. Do you think there is going to be a continuation, a sequel? And do you think it could be successful if they get it right?
Well, before I answer that, I just want to respond back to Peter's comment. He said, "Demote Max for mod." No, I could never do that.
Wow, Peter, just damn straight in there with the shotgun to the face move. Wow,
I will
I
say
have been
that
betrayed.
we have a very much successful IP that is very new and fresh in the space genre, and that's Returnal. And I see that as being the next kind of Alien Isolation because just playing through it, I can see that how the story is not too entrenched with horror ideals, that it's just jumping at you every 5 seconds. It's very subtle, it's very psychological and philosophical, but it has a new variation of monsters of where like each one is different. Each one, like even though you have like your main monster variations, it's colorful. You don't normally see color and psychological horror go together. So it's colorful. It
Very true.
has, yeah, it has all these different abundances of different ways that you can stack items and do different things. Even though it's rogue, it's also action. So we see it already with Returnal, but as far as the Callisto Protocol goes, I feel like there's going to be one more game and that might be it. There isn't too much that you could dive into unless they add in like some big spectacular thing that is in the story as a plot twist. I don't really see much of a future for the Callisto Protocol in terms of it going as far as Dead Spaces, for example.
See, it's interesting you say that because I personally think I don't think there is going to be a sequel.
Oh, interesting. I think there might be like a DLC
Yeah,
expansion, but like another full on game, there isn't enough,
I
story to do that.
I don't think there's even going to be another DLC because they got hit with so much backlash over sort of like the failure of the hype train delivering that people were riding on. Plus, there was backlash over sort of like there was a season pass thing or like a
Yeah.
paid for wolf where they're like this features some new death animations for Jacob, and I was like, wait,
Yeah.
I was like, wait, for for the player character. I thought it was death animations from the enemies. I don't want to pay to watch my character die. Like, who's what?
Yeah, it was
Sadism.
pointless.
There was such a weird DLC. Like, what the fuck? Who greenlighted that? Like, oh, let's lock out the player dying and put a price on it and saying like, along with this alternate outfit and another nod back to Dead Space, here's some more death animations. I'm like, I thought the goal was to not die. Isn't that the objective of the game?
Well, the thing is that I think they went a little bit too ham with the death animations because I could swear every single death animation I got was a new one. Like,
I am not sure because I eventually got so good at the game that the only deaths I got in the game were from the bosses,
I
which
died
was
a lot.
essentially the same.
I died a lot. I died too much. I died so much during that boss battle that I memorized whenever he was gonna smash my skull in.
Oh, do you mean the final boss battle?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it was the same for me. I died a lot with him as well because I do think that final boss battle was just a bit that was a bit over the top. I was
It
like, you're
was.
throwing way too much at us here. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the fact that they used Sam Witwer for it, the guy who was Deacon St. John from Days Gone,
Yeah.
and from two of my personal favorite classics, Star Wars: The Force Unleashed. He was Star Killer, and you know those are cheesy games now by all standards, but I still love them.
Max, I only
Yeah,
have
the
one thing
guy.
to say to you. Get good. Oh no, he went silent.
Oh, very dare you!
All right, cuff. Jesus.
Good, like you can talk. You play on easy.
Okay, you know what? Sharp intake of breath. You know what's actually really funny about this is that um I did play on easy for Guardians of the Galaxy, but it acted as if it was a lot harder than it was, which was rather satisfying. Which that game incredible is so good.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I
I
would
need to play it myself.
highly
Yeah, I think
recommend
it's
it.
I think it is available on the PlayStation Premium service, so we should both get it. Oh, by the way, there's an interesting thing for people who might be considering it with PlayStation Premium because I pay for it and I've given Chloe like permission to play my games. She gets all of the games from PlayStation Premium for free on her account
Oh,
without having to pay
nice.
for anything.
Very
It's
So,
nice.
awesome.
like, yeah, there's an awesome bonus, the PlayStation account sharing thing. It works for everything,
I love
and
that.
she's really excited because she recently found out that all of the original Infamous games are there.
I
So,
love those games.
I never heard of those actually.
They're so good.
you've never heard of them? Like, have you not played Infamous Second Son?
Nope, never heard of it.
Oh, Ari, that's that was a game that was sort of like one of the first early launch titles on the PlayStation 4. Very good game, very recommended.
Okay.
But you can play it without playing the first ones. Like Infamous 1 and 2 are linked, but Infamous Second Son is like its own installment. And then it had its own sort of like side spin-off game called Infamous First Light, again, which was very, very good.
Okay, that sounds interesting. I'll have to check it out. But my
It's
backlog
I
literally is crying at me right now. So,
Yeah, it's the same for me because I just recently started playing The Legend of Dragoon on PlayStation 5, which is like a PlayStation 1 classic from my past, and I
oh,
was so happy because that game is so hard to find. Like me and Chloe found a physical copy of it for sale for £125.
Oh
I was
my
like,
gosh.
I want to buy it, but I can't.
And that was in Dundee.
Yeah.
That's the same way
Hey,
I
you just
felt
in
when
Dundee?
I found
Why would I diss
a
Dundee? I live here.
that was the
Sorry,
same
on
way
you
that
go, Ari.
no, that was the same way I felt about seeing the original very first in the PS1 case Castlevania in a pawn shop for $225. I was like, I can't justify this purchase for that much.
See, I could justify purchasing the Legend of Dragoon for it because I know how rare those physical copies are now.
Yeah.
And if it was in good condition, which it looked to be, it was. The case was almost immaculate, and I could only imagine the discs were the same. If I had the money, I would have bought it. It would have been the prize like part of my collection. But yeah, that was just way too much.
Oh, also, before I forget, for anybody who's a Coffee Talk fan, the next game from Coffee Talk, Butterfly and Hibiscus, drops in July. I'm going to be getting the special edition, and I'm very excited about this. And just so everybody knows that there is going to be an unboxing coming from this because they have two editions that are
Oh,
coming out.
excellent.
In Ultimate Collector's Edition and the regular Collector's Edition, I'm getting the Switch version, but they have the regular one, which has like stickers in the game and all that kind of stuff. But then they have the massive one that has the first and second game, and it also comes with a coffee cup and a bag and stickers and music.
Okay, yeah, you definitely need that one.
Yeah, I need to be able and
You need that one.
I
Yeah.
need to be able to see if one of these sponsorship goes through because it's $149 that entire thing.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, like, also wink, wink. There might be a sponsorship coming through for you guys, so
No complaints.
very excited. And it's from a company that you guys have seen on my channel before. I'll let you all guess before I finalize anything.
Ah, okay, okay.
So,
So, oh, sorry. Yeah,
no,
go
no,
on.
you're good.
No, I was just gonna say, I think that's the Callisto Protocol basically wrapped up. Like, I
Yeah.
personally don't think it made a big enough a splash for there to be a sequel or DLC, but I may be wrong, and a part of me hopes I am because I would love to see this continue more.
Right. Me too. I mean, like, I feel, and this is just, again, an opinion, but I feel like there isn't enough story for it to continue. Like, the writing in it is excellent, but I feel like it was a one and done max continuation of him leaving the ship at minimum kind of DLC thing going on.
Yeah, yeah, I could agree with that. Like, that's probably the more accurate thing that's going on here. So yeah, yeah. For me, I'm just like I I loved it enough that I would be really happy with another installment, but I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't get one. And as much as I hate to say it, I'm kind of like thinking that it could be the final nail in the coffin for the studio and that they may disband after it because I don't think they'll risk making something new after something that they already made to be new has
I
failed
mean,
them.
I wouldn't go that far, but I think that they might take a little bit of a hiatus after this to figure out what their next moves are in general.
I hope so. I really do hope that's more of what's going to happen instead of what I think could happen. Because I mean, I'm just going to say I hope I'm wrong. I really do.
I mean, the thing is that whenever it comes to, you know, making a game studio, working on it for so many years, and then actually like putting the effort into making as many games as they did, you're going to find that one time or another you are going to be primarily known for one thing. So whether they stick to space games or they do something new, I feel like this was what the this was their Resident Evil 6 of the group. It wasn't necessarily that it was a bad game, it was an excellent game, but it was an experiment. The same with Resident Evil 6. It was an
Yeah,
experiment.
yeah,
So I feel like they're going to try to combine something of what they did, excuse me, with Dead Space and Callisto Protocol and make something that might be the Resident Evil 7. It might be the turning point for them as a company. You never know.
yeah. See, that's why the companies that make splashes by suddenly changing from what they're known for doing and doing it well are the best ones. Like the way Sucker Punch Studios went from making the infamous games to suddenly making Ghost of Tsushima, which is
Right.
like one of my personal all-time favorites. And again, like Guerrilla Games went from doing just Killzone games and first-person shooters to making the Horizon games, which are probably some of the most
Yeah.
successful new IPs we've ever seen.
One thing I do have to say about Ghost of Tsushima, it wasn't my favorite game. Like I liked the combat and I liked the way it was a story that was based in traditional Japanese history, and the way that they did that and executed it was beautifully done. But at certain points I found it entirely repetitive and boring at certain moments.
Yes, yes, no, I will definitely agree with that. Like, I won't try and blindly defend the game like a fanboy because, like, even I would admit the game did have its points. I won't say anything too openly because Chloe hasn't played it and she does want to play it. But
Oh, okay.
there was some repetitiveness with it, but it was like I mean, the one thing I can say, which like was always the same but never got boring, was the combat. The combat was just always so damn fun for me. But
Yeah.
like the the big issue that everybody was saying about it, which I couldn't fault, was for how it was like it didn't have enough changing throughout the whole story to be like a perfect masterpiece 10 out of 10 game.
That's the way
I
I felt.
personally can, yeah, I personally consider it a masterpiece to me because I just loved how much of a perfect samurai game simulation game it could be. That was just like I waited so long for a game like it to come along, and this was it. So I was overly happy with it, but that's my biased viewpoint, which is why I can agree with the honest viewpoint. It's about a 7 or an 8 out of 10 game, and not like a perfect 10 out of 10. I can totally
Yeah, I would
understand
put
that.
it at an 8 out of 10 simply because of just how stunning it is. Like I haven't seen a more beautiful game come from PlayStation since Death Stranding. Like that game, the photo mode capabilities that you could create with everything was absolutely miraculous. It was so good.
Yeah, I've told Chloe all about the photo mode, and she's just excited to take screenshots. Like she is a screenshotaholic. That's what she is.
Yeah, I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
like I judge how good a game is partially because of the photo mode. If they get lazy with the photo mode, it means they're getting lazy with a lot of other things in the game.
That's a good way of looking at it, actually. Yeah.
Broken Lobo Gaming said they're dropping the story in quotes this summer, which I think is odd. That's like 8 months after launch. I think it's because they're trying to do mini revivals of the game. It's a perfect PR and marketing ploy actually, because what happens is if the game doesn't get enough traction after a certain point, they'll drop something a little bit later on, and then they'll do that as a revival ploy for marketing and PR. So it makes sense, but I can see why that would be confusing for a lot of people.
Uh,
So I'm trying to think if there's
so
anything else we want to discuss with the Callisto Protocol, but I feel like we're gonna have to do one of these streams again after I finish Dead Space.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean, I haven't played the remake. I do really want to play the remake, but I I have played and finished the first one because like
Ooh, okay.
I've 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 got all three of them, but I've actually only finished the first original one. I still haven't played Dead Space 2 or 3.
Okay.
They are
I
on my to-do list.
I haven't played Dead Space yet, like at all. I've got like the old games on my PC and I haven't played them yet, but I do want to play the remake. I just can't justify paying like 70 quid for it right now. So I'm trying to wait until it goes down on sale.
See,
Understandable.
that's the funny thing. That's a funny thing because that is a remake I actually could justify paying that price for because you can tell just from screenshots and clips that they have worked themselves to the bone to make it look as amazing as it does.
Oh yeah,
That's
It
fair.
really is.
people are saying that this remake is like the remake of Resident Evil 1. It's gonna be like surpassing that kind of remake because everybody uses Resident Evil 1 remake as a point of like this is what remake should be. Dead Space
Yeah,
surpassed that. They're like this is what remake should be.
yeah.
I
No,
need to have a look into it then.
I do completely agree. It's like it's why I also it's exactly why it's the same reason why I said The Last of Us Part 1 PlayStation 5 remake wasn't worth the price because I'm like it's a game which came out on PS4, then it got a remastered
Came out on
on
PS3.
sorry, it came out on PS3, and it got remastered on PS4, and now it's got a remake coming for PS5. And I'm like, you're milking it too much.
Well, You know what's
Uh,
interesting though is that Demon Souls originally came out on PS3. It got a full remake in 2020, and that is also a Resident Evil 1 quality of a remake because when you look at the footage of the first game before the remake and you look at how it is now, it's exactly the same but with stunning graphics. They kept true
yeah,
to literally everything, and I feel like the when you have to and this is a point where kind of pisses me off a little bit whenever people say that, oh, it's not a remake. I'm like, if you're remaking accessibilities, if you are remaking lighting, if you are doing complete overhauls of different assets, it's a remake, no matter
it's a
how you want to
remake.
swing
Yeah,
it. So I mean, like, I can understand
Yeah.
why it wasn't necessary, but I can also understand that people want to still keep a certain game series alive. And I feel like, hell, if you have the money to do so and you have a good studio behind it, God bless you, you know?
yeah. Like I can't 100% fault them, but at the same time, The Last of Us was a franchise that didn't need keeping alive. That franchise is always going to be alive because it is a great franchise.
Well, yeah, I mean, like it'll stay alive, but also the developers and PR marketing team have to do a good job of keeping it alive as well. Because if you keep an audience talking about a game, they will always discuss it. Like, look at the it was okay. Look at the demo for PT Silent Hills. People still won't shut up about that, and that was done years ago, and it was only a demo.
I I
What?
still have access to that demo. I would like to say
Uh,
I still have it on my PlayStation 4.
sir, do you realize you have a gold mine sitting with you right now?
Oh yeah, yeah. If I was to sell that PlayStation 4, I'd get like 400 or 500 quid for it just because it's got PT. But I would
You
have to
ever
also
want to
sell
send
access
it?
to.
I will play that game when I come there to the UK and I'll be like, listen, where's my baby? Where is it?
You'll go back to America and I'll suddenly find myself minus one PlayStation 4. But Chloe, where's my PS4?
You
I'd
know,
fly
it's
from Scotland to get it back.
I
It's
literally
just
I've
you
only
running down
seen
the street.
playthroughs of that game and I've wanted to play that demo so much and they actually there was one guy who did a remake like not a remake but like a 1-1 version of it and he put it on itch.io. So many people downloaded it that he got hired by Konami and it looked
See,
exactly like it.
that's just more insulting though, because Konami know how much people want it, but
Yeah.
they instead of giving people what they want, they will go to the extent of blocking it from being used on PlayStation 5.
You know what's funny though is that I went to see like how many Silent Hill games are offered on PlayStation 5 on the store. None. There's only the Dead by Daylight edition pack that they did for Silent Hill. They don't even have like which was born on their place by the way. It's a PlayStation exclusive primarily and they don't have any Silent
God
Hill games on
damn.
the console to buy. None. That's what pisses me
What are
off the
you doing,
most.
Konami?
Because when you see that Silent Hill 2 remake is going to be coming out at some point, I'm not sure when, but you have all these different Silent Hill games coming out, you would think it would be a smart marketing move and PR stunt for them to be like, hey, here's on a PS Premium Silent Hill 2, 3, For the Room, and Silent Hill Homecoming. We're not going to put Silent Hill 1 up yet because we might do that for when a remake of that comes out and then we'll put it up as a PR marketing stunt. But for right now, here you go. They could have done that, but they're just not entirely smart about their decision making skills currently.
Yeah, no, it's Konami work backwards. They really do.
But
But
they are making a
that's
good choice though. I do have to say as an insert one moment because they are hiring indie developers to help them with certain projects and I think that is very smart.
yeah, and it's interesting because it's making me wonder about what could be coming in the future. I mean, it's like that's why I personally think it's sort of like I still personally believe it may be a fool's errand. I'm probably gonna have people in the chat rolling their eyes like, "Oh, he's a fool," but I still do believe that the next game to come along as a remake is gonna be from Blue Point Games that has been
Oh.
working with Konami, and I think it's gonna be Metal Gear Solid One remake. I really do, and I
Okay.
really am hoping for it
You got
because, like, if I if if that game gets remade and when they release it, I will sell a kidney to buy it. Like seriously.
You know, I'm making a prediction right now that they're going to remake Castlevania.
What makes you so okay? Interesting. Interesting. So why do you think it's Castlevania?
The Netflix series did incredibly well, and the fact that they're having a lot of different remasters that are currently coming out, and people are more interested in the series now because more people are finding out about it because of said series. You're having more fans to the series. If you have more people voting with their wallets, they are going to do something about it. So I feel like it's going to
See,
be a very smart move on their part if they remake Castlevania.
See, that's very interesting because there's a lot of logic to that which I cannot fault. So you're absolutely spot on. So you have a very strong argument there. But for me, what's got me thinking that it could be Metal Gear Solid was that Blue Point Games released a image around Christmas last year, and it was basically like in it were little symbols of the past games they've previously made. So there was like
Ooh.
there was like a hint. There was like something from Demon Souls, something from Shadow of the Colossus, and then something from I can't remember what the other one was they did, but it was something else. But then there was also a fourth gift which hadn't been opened yet, but people noticed that the wrapping on it looked like an upside down exclamation mark, which is synonymous with the Metal Gear franchise,
Oh,
and people were just like, so they're obviously working on something, and they're saying number four is on its way, but there's no confirmation what it is. But a lot of people, myself included, think that was a big hint as to what it is. So I'm
oh.
really I'm keeping my fingers crossed as Metal Gear, but I'm also bracing myself for disappointment. So
Broken Lobo Gaming said, "From your mouth to God's ears." Yes, sir. Yes, indeed. Broken Lobo. He said, "Yes, Metal Gear Solid One remake, please." I have yet to play those
yes,
games. I have yet to play them.
it's they're really good games. Like they're genius. The works of genius because obviously it's Kojima and the guy is a master of like storytelling. Like Metal Gear Solid 3 will forever be one of my personal favorites of all time, and Metal Gear Solid 4 was like it was an amazing game, even though there was something like 8 hours worth of cutscenes in it. Kojima Kojima loves his cutscenes.
You know what? I
um,
think will be another game that's going to come out is The Evil Within 3.
I really hope so because I think that is a really I think that whole franchise is a gold mine of a horror game
Yeah.
because there's nothing else quite like it out there.
Well, there's a teaser that is suggesting that it's going to be coming out. Did you see the Half Life, not Half Life. It's a new game that came out from the studio Tango. I think it was Tango GameWorks because they're the ones that published Evil Within, and they put a little bit of an Easter egg into that new game that came out, and it was on a screen, and it said in the text below, "New." I'm paraphrasing right now. New horror to return from the franchise or something at that line. And I'm thinking,
Oh, okay.
Evil Within 3? Maybe, please?
Yeah, it's when you think about it, it does make a lot of sense. Yeah,
Like, I
yeah.
need, like, the Evil Within, spoilers, okay, for those of you who did not play Evil Within games, I'm so sorry, but I need to discuss this. So, in the first game, Ruvik literally disappears. You squish his brain at the end of the game, and then he supposedly disappears. But then you see Leslie walk off into the distance, and then you fade to white. In the second game, you don't deal with Ruvik or Leslie at all. You're just trying to find your daughter. That's basically it. And in the very end of the game, on the second one, which by the way, the second game came out in 2017. That's how long it's freaking been. Okay, you have and like all of the screens in STEM in the place like light up and everything. So I'm thinking this is a perfect transition into like a third game. What are you guys doing? Why are you waiting so long?
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense.
Broken said,
I wouldn't be.
Kojima has more or less predicted the information wars, the meme wars, culture wars, and has prioritized the clone wars and genome wars. Private military corps contractors. Kojima is a genius. Yeah, no, he really is. Like the way that he's predicted a lot of stuff in the industry and has part and partial been a part of some of the most monumental decisions in the gaming industry and how it's impacted a lot of us. It's amazing.
Yeah, no, the guy is a godsend to the gaming industry,
Yeah.
which is why whenever anybody calls him a hack, I will defend him tooth and
No,
nail. Like he's a
he's
gift
not
to the
a hack.
gaming industry.
I love the fact that like
And
even in the DLC for Dead Space, he included a nod to Metal Gear Solid with the oranges, and I love that.
yeah, that was good. So on the topic of horror games, fun bit of information is that me and Chloe have been playing a new one recently.
Oh, which one?
We have we've been playing Sons of the Forest.
Never heard of that one.
Surprised you haven't, because like it's all any most people have been talking about lately.
I've not, I've been so
It's
like
so good.
disconnected because I've had so much work going on like with stuff. So I haven't seen anything like I don't do the casual nerd episodes anymore because that was just getting a lot. Like it was getting a little bit too much for me. So I was like, I stopped those episodes, I think at episode 207. I was like,
I
this
was
is
wondering, I was wondering why I hadn't seen one for a while. I've been missing them. It's a shame. They were really good.
yeah, because I did an update
Um,
video and it was a bit of a shock for some people because it was like, yeah, I'm not doing the casual nerd episodes anymore. It's just gotten to a point of where like I don't enjoy doing them like I used to because all of the news topics are also getting very cancel culture kind of heavy of where it's either one stance or another stance, and since I'm in the middle, I can't really discuss a lot of it without going and leaning into one side or another. So it's kind of pointless for me to dive into it unless I do an article on something.
no, that's absolutely fine. Then, like, cannot fault you for that. You're just looking out for yourself on that one and just doing what you need to do for you. Nothing wrong with that. Um, But no, yeah, me and Chloe, we've been playing a game called Sons of the Forest. It is a direct sequel to The Forest from originally launched in 2013, and
Wait,
then
that
it
one?
got this. Hmm?
I just played that. That's the collaboration that I did with my friend Cody. And the Forest is the one that I literally just only heard of it because she gifted it to me on Steam, and then we literally did a collab for the multiplayer for that.
I I did wonder because I saw it go on to I saw a notification saying that you'd added it to your library, so I'm like, oh, she must have finally picked it up, because I was looking a couple of times to see if thinking I should gift it to you, because it's sort of like it would have been a perfect time since the sequel just came out. But yeah, it's the first one. That's the one you played,
Yeah.
and the sequel just got released like the day before yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Um, but it's an interesting process the developers are doing, because it was meant to be fully released, but they then came out and announced, look, we're struggling to get it working 100%, but rather than delay it again, we're going to release it as an early access title, and that way you
Okay.
guys, the fans and the community, can help us work through things like bug reports and fixes and working and giving more content. So, you know, but from what I'm like, it's so reasonably priced for what we're getting. Like me and Chloe, we both paid £25 for it. So in other words, it's like £50, which is probably about $60 in total for two copies of the game. And it's one of the most gorgeous games you've ever seen,
Oh,
and it's
wow.
just so it's so damn fun.
It really is.
Also,
Like Max
Broken
made
Lobo is
me
gonna be
play.
leaving right now. Bye, dude. I just want to say bye to him. Bye, dude. Hope you have a wonderful
Hi,
rest
No
of your
buddy.
problem.
night.
Yeah.
But no, continue, Chloe.
Yeah, Max made me play the first game for, I think it was the last year.
It
Was it
was yeah,
last year, Max?
yeah. It was last year. We played it on PS4 and everything because you downloaded it from my account, remember? and
Oh
then we and
yes.
Yes.
then we played it with, I don't think Steve joined us, but I think Nick did. So yeah, we played it with, wait, did Steve join us? I can't remember. Do you remember?
I don't think he did. No,
No.
I
Okay,
think
so
it's just
yeah, but
me and Nick.
yeah, and then we played through the story, and
It's such a good game.
it really is.
Like it's really unique because it doesn't. Usually, I get annoyed with games that don't tell you what to do or like give a clear indication as to what
Yeah,
you're
same.
supposed to be doing. But I did really enjoy the forest. It's all just a matter of exploring and finding out what the story is for yourself.
It really because
But
like
it's a really fun
when
game.
I first went into it with Cody, I was like, wait a second, this is interesting. And we just crash landed on this place, and she was like, there are cannibals. I was like, oh, there are cannibles.
Oh, there's not just cannibals.
Oh no.
Are there are there Mormons? No, I'm just joking.
There's Jehovah's Witnesses.
There's, there are wasps, white Anglo-Saxon Protestants. They're all
No,
sects of religion. Everything.
no. Okay. Like, joking aside, I do have to tell you, as both a sort of like a fun bit of information as well as a warning, there is a lot worse.
We ended up ending the episode on finding our first cave. So that'll be for the next episode.
How far into the cave did you go?
We didn't go in yet. That we're saving that for the next episode.
Okay, I am gonna really need to watch this series then, because like I'm really interested. Like, The Forest is one of my all-time favorite horror games. Like, believe it or not, I was one of the very first people to actually like play it when it came out in 2013, because
Oh
it
wow.
came out as a very bare bones early access game.
I'm
Like the
sorry, I
pub,
need to go shot the birds.
yeah, I can hear him screaming. So stop screaming or I'll cook ya. Um,
Max.
I I promise you, I'm not abusive to them. It's, um, but no, like yeah, like when it very first originally released, the game back in 2013, which yes, it's that old, the whole decade. It was very bare bones. Like, you couldn't even go into the caves fully because it was that so early in development. Um, so like you were getting a hell of an experience with the first one because it's such a damn good game. It really is. And the second one, from what I can see, the whole story's in it, even though it's early access. It is missing a few things, but the developers and like games have promised it's gonna get like completely updated with more content, new things, everything. And the full release, yeah, they've said the full release is going to be about 6 to 8 months, so it
Oh
is
wow.
coming this year. And
Considering the team consists of like what
15
14,
people,
15
that's it.
people, they've
15
done
people.
so well.
Oh
I
wow.
know. It really is. It's so damn good.
That's so inspiring for our studio though.
It
Right?
really
It
is.
really, really is. So yeah, but it's like going back to what's on the island, there's so much worse. And in in Sons of the Forest, it's even worse than what they are in the first one. So
Oh jeez.
I'll leave that thought with you.
What's interesting though is like I saw the death scene that they have, and I literally saw cannibal booty. I was like, cannibal booty.
Knieble.
Literally, he's just
Oh
chomping on me, and
god.
I'm just like, "Where's the underwear, dude? Jesus Christ!"
Nah,
Oh man.
seriously, it's like yeah, The Forest will forever be a game that just blew my mind, because even today, the first one is just it's like the enemy AI, even in the first one, is more advanced than quite a lot of even modern day games. Like, in
Yeah,
the first
a little
Forest
bit.
alone,
Yeah.
yeah, like in the first Forest alone, like I've seen actions happen where if you hack a cannibal up with with an axe and they get injured, one of the others will like grab him and drag him away from you, trying to save him and protect him. I've never seen that in another game, and
That's
what are
so
you giggling at?
cute.
Wow.
That's adorable. I actually,
Until
you know,
you
it was funny, like, cause I won't say too much about it, but like when we were in like doing the video for this and everything, I was like, I told Cody, I was like, I'm going into the forest, and it was nighttime, right? And I was like, I'm going into the forest, I'm going, and I hear growling, I audibly screamed on camera, and you know me, I don't scream at all.
it gets trust me, it gets so much worse.
I love it. It's fun,
So much
especially
worse.
with other
You
people.
remember
It's
the
really fun.
first remember
It
the
is
first
fun.
time I saw Virginia?
Oh god.
Virginia?
God,
Who's
you
Virginia?
You'll
you'll
find out.
find out.
I'm re- I'm ready. I'm so ready. I'm ready.
You are not ready.
Yes, I
You are
am
really
ready.
not ready.
Dude, if I can see
You're not ready.
discombobulated bits of bodies, I'm ready.
Yeah, no, you're still not ready for what this game's gonna do to you. Like I've left a review of the first Forest on Steam, and
Yeah.
I reviewed it before it was fully released. But I basically ended the review saying this game made me scream like a little girl. 10 out of 10 would happily make my pants brown again.
Body bits and bloody parts, body parts, body parts, body bits and bloody parts are all falling down now.
Oh dear.
Oh man, but
Why
you
do I why do I why do I imagine you singing that when you were playing The Devil in Me?
because I did. I did in several games. I actually started that in Fran Bow, and everyone was like, "What the fuck is wrong with her?" And now everybody's singing along. They thought it was crazy, right?
That's because you are crazy, Ari, but you're
I am.
crazy in the most perfect and lovable way. That's
I
all. That's all you need to say on it.
Yeah, I mean, like, who else loves playing Souls games and craves it even after the game is done? This hoe, okay?
Who the hell plays through Fallout 3, agrees that it's terrible, and then later on says they like it? That's
No,
I'm
not
sorry,
Fallout
but
3.
you
Fallout New
need.
Vegas, I actually like. It's not Fallout 3.
Oh, okay, that one's more understandable.
Yeah.
Fallout 3, yeah,
Fallout
Fallout
3
3
is.
sucks.
The only thing I actually ended up liking about Fallout 3 was the way that they did the post apocalyptic scenes. Like, I feel like they actually made that really cool with the. I actually, you know what? I actually liked Fallout New Vegas so much. I ended up putting on my wish list a Vault Boy bobblehead. And you know, I only get merch when I actually like something.
That is very true. Like that's how you know when a game's good. If Ari's buying much of it, then you can take that as a sign. Good sign, yeah.
Yeah. But I do have to say, it is almost 10 o'clock for me. And it's almost, what, 3 o'clock in the morning for you too? My goodness gracious, you guys.
Yeah, but
Oh,
we're staying up all night tonight, so you know.
yeah, our sleeping patterns are wrecked, so we're staying up tonight and trying to stay awake tomorrow, then go to bed early.
It's
Okay.
honestly not my fault. It's not my fault. It's her fault because she has both insomnia and hypersomnia. So some nights she won't sleep at all, and then some days she'll sleep like 17 fucking hours.
Oh my
It's not
goodness.
my fault. Leave
That's-
me alone.
Excuse me. But you guys, I do have to say thank you all for coming to the stream and everything. I want to say a very important quick note before we leave off over here. Um I'm not like a lot of YouTubers of where I'm going to say stuff that's going to, make everyone like me and, kiss everybody's ass and everything like that. That's not what I do. Um is it scary? Yes, being a content creator is scary, and a lot of content creators don't discuss how scary it is having your thoughts out there for just literally everyone to criticize all the time, 24/7, because once you take down a video, even though you took it down, people still hear your words and people still resonate with them, whether it be good or bad. So all I want to say to you guys is that through all of the words that I say to you, I don't ever say something that I don't mean. Like, I think through the things I want to say. So if you hate me, that's fine. I really don't care. But if you guys like me, that's great. That's awesome. Hey, more parties. Let's go. Let's have fun. But I just wanted to make it very apparent that, like, I'm still very much a human with mental health things that get in the way of me thinking that I I don't know, for lack of a better term, that my voice in a way doesn't matter when I know to a degree it does. So that's why it scares me, and that's why I literally had a panic attack tonight during stream, because I think, oh shit, what's going to happen? I always think of the negative before I think of the positive. So just keep in mind there is a human on the other side of the screen. So before you say any, like, if people are seeing this stream after it's published on YouTube, just keep in mind of that. Just be very, very aware that there is another person who is working, breathing, living here. So yeah. Any You guys want to have any last words or anything?
Um, yeah, I just want to quickly say actually, I think with what, in regards to what you just said, Ari, that's like your best and strongest like quality about you. It's like you're just 100% to the point. Like like right from your heart, head, everything, honest. And that's the way it's always been
Yeah.
since yeah, that's the way it's always been since I've known you. Like I said, the whole reason why I started following you that day when I found your Hellblade trailer video reaction,
Remember
because
that.
it was just it was just an honest reaction. Like, you don't do what so many other YouTubers do, which you don't try to pander to what your, like, your followers want. You just make what you want, and because of that you're getting honest people following you,
Yeah.
and that's why you're winning, because you're being yourself,
Yeah.
and you're being like nothing else. You're not like anything else out there, like I said before, and because of this, that's why you're succeeding in probably the best way ever, because it's a success that isn't built off of, like, just going with the flow.
Or cloud or
It's
manipulation or anything like that.
exactly, it's success that's being built on literal honest to god hard work, your hard work.
Oh, I appreciate
And
that.
it's the truth, and that's what I always will do. I will just tell you the straight facts and truth. Like, it's if there's anybody in this world of content creation that deserves a success, it's you, to a T. I
Oh,
mean, like, I mean, fucking hell, woman, you got gifted a goddamn, early preview key from Square Enix for Forspoken.
yeah. That makes me really happy.
Like,
And even people are like, well, is Resident Evil 4 an early key next? And I'm like, I hope so.
no, seriously, like, I generally think, like, honest to God, I mean this. I generally think what you should do is that you should print out or buy a print of the Forspoken, like, picture or poster or case, and get it framed and have a little plaque under it saying Forspoken, my first AAA CD key gift.
I think that's such a good idea, actually. It's very sentimental, and I like that. I'm a sentimental bitch, and I think that's amazing.
I think I also think it's important because it will be a reminder to you that, like, your success, like, all of it, none of it is just one time things.
No.
This is it's all a continuing thing, and it's growing. You've gone from being somebody who got keys from indie games to play them to now you're getting big time, like, games that are going out to not just a few hundred or a few thousand people. Millions of people have played Forspoken, but you were one of the first before millions of others. That's a hell of a milestone.
You're making my brain think of things that I never thought before. Gosh damn it.
Happy things. Happy
Happy,
things.
yes, Cuff, happy things.
I will always be the cuff in your ear. Okay, that sounded a little bit weird.
That
So
was
sweet.
okay. No, that's true. But I know the sentiment of what you were trying to impose. Also, Peter,
Yeah,
have a good night. Thank you so much for coming by. You wonderful mod face. You. Thank you so much. I appreciate you kindly. Um,
yeah.
also,
See you, PS. Stay legendary.
so you guys, thank you so much on that wonderful, sentimental, just humbling note that Max said. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you guys like my face and what I do, please be sure to if I can't fucking talk, subscribe, hit the bell down below because I make
She's
videos.
gone so gooey. She's gone so gooey. She can't talk. That's how happy she
It's
feels.
true. It's true. But if you guys like my face and what I do, please be sure to subscribe and hit the bell down below. I make videos every day here on YouTube. May you find your worth in the waking world, dear hunter. Stay casually nerdy, and I will see you all in the next video. Umbasa.